to have this show to come and talk about it and let some stuff up.
What kind of a show are you guys putting on here today?
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Good morning, Friday, freedom fighters. Good morning, Kenny Williams.
Happy Friday, Vic.
Are you ready for a 3-day weekend?
Oh,
my God, am I ready?
yeah. I mean, it's so interesting because we have so much news constantly, and you're constantly moving, and then you realize it's Friday.
Yeah. And the Friday ahead of a 3-day weekend. I hope everybody's off on Memorial Day. David Stokes is going to be along in just a bit here. He had a pretty harrowing experience on the day of the tornado 1 week ago today, by the way. Miller time at 9:25. Stephen Miller from the Trump administration. Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft coming in. We've got Susie Moore, who wrote some pretty darn good stuff at Red State. And we'll talk to Kenny Abramowitz, too, about this terrible shooting with these two kids at the embassy. And I call them kids because everybody's a kid to me, but these kids were kids. Chat box 11:25 and at 11:41, it's the Wheel of Audio Clips. Ken Williams, who is going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance today, sir?
We have from the Show Me Institute, Brenda Talent.
How about that? Go ahead, Brenda.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you very much, Brenda Talent.
I know Dave tried to call.
Phone working is...
I can never tell if it's me or if it's the other side. So, Dave, call back.
So what we're going to ask Dave about, again, is about the tornado that hit a week ago today. Sirens didn't go off. And we'll talk about that too, and why that happened and who let that happen. And we do have a way for you to help people who were affected negatively about this tornado, okay? So if you're looking for organizations you can donate to help the local communities that were impacted by this terrible storm on May 16th, just go to our website. It's NewstalkSTL.com. We've compiled a whole list of several organizations that can help you, and go to NewstalkSTL.com for you to help out. Okay. All right. Let's get rolling here. Our first guest this morning is the heavyweight champion of municipal policy, David Stokes. Good morning, Dave. How are you?
Good morning, Vic. Good to be with you today.
Now, listen, you were kind of right in the middle of all this, weren't you, last Friday?
We were. My coworker Zach, right around, I guess 2:45-ish or whatever the exact time of the tornado was, grabbed me and another coworker and said, "We got to get to the basement," and because we're at the Union in Delmar, our old office building, and so we ran down to the basement. A few seconds later, the thing hit, the tornado hit and destroyed our. Some of your listeners have probably heard, but yeah, our building was destroyed. Thankfully, there were just three of us in the building at the time. A lot of people working from home, obviously, on a Friday afternoon. But the three of us made it to the basement, and nobody was hurt. But the building was severely damaged and very, very, very frightening.
So, Dave, you said that Zach yelled at you to go downstairs. Were you oblivious to everything until that point?
I was semi-oblivious. I knew there was bad weather out and tornado warnings, but I had no idea that one had just landed in Clayton a minute or two before. It was raging through Forest Park, coming right at our building. But luckily, Zach, news junkie and weather junkie that he is, was following on his phone and realized the seriousness of the situation and what was apparently coming right at us.
Well, there was no way for you to know because the sirens didn't go off.
Well, right. And, us being inside and sort of on the western edge, I don't know how much the sirens would have done for us per se. But, yeah, for people who were in Forest Park, like outside when it hit, obviously the sirens could have given them just a few more seconds of warning. I don't think anyone was, I hate to judge this, that I don't believe anybody was killed in Forest Park. But for the people in North City who would have had a few more minutes of warning, had the sirens gone off as they should have, it took the tornado a little bit longer to get there. So, right, it's obviously incredibly, it's just infuriating that the sirens didn't go off because nobody was around to push push the button, which is all they needed to do.
It's ridiculous.
And look, I'm no scientist, but yeah, for people who where the path of the tornado was a little bit further down the line, those sirens might have played a big role. And obviously they should have gone off. And obviously the mayor is at least holding the person responsible for them, primarily responsible for them not going off. At least they're being held responsible for now.
Well, the staff wasn't available because they had some sort of workshop going. Here's Sarah. Sarah.
The SEMA office is very small, and the majority of the time we work closer to business hours unless the need arises, such as what we're doing now, or special events. A lot of that work takes us out into the community, so we aren't necessarily in our office space at all times. We do have a very small staff. I have received reports of people that did hear it. I've heard from a lot of people that said they haven't heard it.
So normal business hours, not like 2:45 in the middle of a business day. Why would they be there?
Right.
2:45. And they had some kind of workshop going on. They knew a tornado was coming. All you could do is watch the news and they'll tell you bad weather's coming.
But that's her job.
No,
that's like her
excuse.
job.
Right. That's her job to be there to push that button. So Dave, I got to ask you, did you at any point fear for your life?
No. And let me just tell you, it all happened so fast that where Zach came to say, we got to get to the basement. And luckily he, at some point, probably before he shouted to me, he shouted to our colleague Avery, who works on the third floor. So Avery would have been in a lot of trouble if he hadn't left the third floor, because the third floor no longer exists.
Wow.
So he grabbed Avery, and Avery ran down. And it all happened so fast, Vic and Ken. I tell you that I said, there wasn't any time for me to be brave, and there wasn't any time for me to be scared.
Right.
We just ran. By the time I grabbed my wallet and phone and keys and ran to the basement, and the tornado sort of blew over us, and it was incredibly loud for a few seconds. But then it was over. Like the whole thing, Zach shouting at me to go downstairs till the thing being past us and gone was probably a minute at most. So there wasn't much time for fear or anything. You just ran down there, you heard the noise, and then it was done.
I would have found plenty of time to be scared.
Oh yeah,
plenty.
I don't want to say I wasn't scared. Of course I was scared. I'm not some brave hero or anything. Of course I was scared. I'm just trying to say it all happened so fast.
Yeah, I get it.
Is the real. You were just reacting and running down to the basement, and then you were shocked because this giant, incredible noise was over. You knew it was a tornado, and then it was done. They're like, it just happened so fast. To quote Beavis, that's the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah, Dave, I can really back that up because I was at the Muni at the time taking pictures for a wedding, and the people from the Muni, they weren't open, but they came out and said, you guys need to come in here. And we're like, no, well, we're finishing up some pictures. We knew it was dark, but we're just like, okay. And they said, no, right now. And so we went in there, and I mean, within a minute, we started to see golf ball size hail. Trees were flying. It hit a car right in front of my car. Thank God it didn't hit me, I guess. But it was pretty bad. It was really bad.
So
real
Dave,
quick.
What happens to the bill? What happens to you guys? Where are you going to go now? I'm sure you can find some nice office space in Maryland Heights, real close to the station.
Well, we have some temporary space that's being shared with us. It's nice. It will serve our emergency purposes for the short term. But in the short and medium term, I think a lot of us are mostly working from home because this short-term space isn't large enough for like the whole Show Me Institute staff to work there together. So mostly a lot of us just working from home for a while, and then at some point new offices will be signed for. I imagine. Okay. I've never been a big work from home guy. I've always liked going into the office. I go into the office just about every day to work. But I guess for the next few months, that's gonna change, and I will be more of a work from home guy. So I will promise you, at some Friday, I will come up to the studio now that I'm working from home more and a little bit closer to the studio.
Fair enough. That is fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. So we talked about this last week. Governor Kehoe You said unless he does a special session, for this taxpayer funding of a Kansas City Chiefs and Royals stadium, and son of a gun, he did it. Special session.
Well, did he announce the dates of the special session yet? I know he said he's going to call one. I don't know if in the last 24 hours or so. I don't think he set the dates for it just yet, but correct me if I'm wrong. But yes, it's going to happen. It's going to be in June, probably in the earlier part of June, since the Kansas offer expires at the end of June, and the Chiefs and the Royals, we want to know what our Missouri's offer is before then, obviously. So look, there's very few things as universally held in economics and substantially studied as the question of whether tax dollars for sports stadiums is a good investment, and it isn't. It just isn't. I know that we love our sports teams, and I'm a big sports fan, and I go to a lot of games for all the teams. But using tax dollars to build these stadiums, I mean, there's just no economic development that comes from it. No serious, good economic analysis shows that this is a wise investment of tax dollars. And now we're talking of up to about $500 million for the Chiefs and Royals to build a new baseball stadium in Kansas City and make major upgrades to Arrowhead Stadium for the Chiefs. And I love having those teams in Missouri. I hope they stay in Kansas City. I hope they stay in Missouri. But the idea that it's the job of government to just sort of throw money at private professional sports teams like this and pay for their stadiums is crazy, and it does not return. There's no positive return on this tax dollars for here. It's not a good investment of tax dollars, and I hope we don't do it. If Kansas wants to waste hundreds of millions of dollars or more and build the sports teams a stadium across the state line, then let the people of Kansas make that mistake. I very much hope that the Chiefs and the Royals will stay on the Missouri side of the river anyway, and build their stadiums privately, as many other sports teams have in recent years. I hope they make a ton of money and their owners get even richer, and they take the risk and they get the reward. But this should not be on the backs of Missouri taxpayers to build or revitalize these stadiums.
I mean, if it's going to be taxpayer paid, then there should be some sort of revenue sharing for us. You know what I mean? It's like a gift from us to the richest guys in the world.
Well, that argument is made that these teams generate so much economic activity that the governments that give the money will come out ahead, and that's what is always stated, and it's just not true. I mean, a football stadium is used, if you use it for concerts, and the Chiefs make the playoffs, as they frequently do, thankfully, what's it used 15, 20 times a year? And that's with preseason and home games and concerts and a few concerts and playoff games.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just not used enough to justify this money. It doesn't, no matter what you say about, but everybody comes together to support the team, and that's all true. But the idea that this money wouldn't be spent otherwise, if not for this stadium, it's erroneous. People have things that they spend on fun and leisure activities, and sports is just one of many of those. So it doesn't happen. And baseball stadiums are obviously used a little bit more and might have more of an economic impact, but nothing to ever justify $500 million in tax subsidies. It just isn't. And when economic development officials in the state agencies or in Kansas City claim that this is how we're going to make money off of this, we're just not. And there are voluminous studies all over the country that show that those claims are false.
And you brought up a great point. I mean, Arrowhead is used 10 times a year. At least the baseball stadium gets used 82 games a year or whatever. But for that much money to come from taxpayers for 10 events at a stadium is just ridiculous. Don't they look at it that way?
Well, economic development officials always never look at it the right way.
Right.
Like they'll look at, meaning the way they look at it is to look at what Ballpark Village has done in the city of St. Louis, and they'll say it's all just sort of manna from heaven. It's all new spending, and they never look at the businesses in like Shannon's and others downtown that closed because Ballpark Village got these subsidies and was built closer to the stadium. So economic development officials never look at the downside of these types of activities. They never look at all sides of it. They never consider that if people don't spend money at a Cardinal game, maybe they'll spend money at going out to the movies or going out to dinner. It's all just leisure activity. And I've got season tickets to Cardinal games. Like I'm going to share with my friends and have been for decades. Like I love Cardinal games, but the claims of the economic impact of professional sports are vastly overstated, and that's just a fact. And that's fine, except when it's used to justify enormous amounts of tax dollars to go to essentially private entities.
It's funny, Dave.
Technically, Arrowhead is owned by the Jackson County out in Kansas City, but the Chiefs just have total control of how it's operated and run, and they should. But taxpayers should not be further on the hook for upgrades.
Whenever we're talking about this with whomever we're talking, Vic always brings up Dave's not going to like this.
I know what you like and what you don't like, David Stokes. Listen, we're glad you're okay.
Yeah,
we're glad nobody got hurt. You guys are gonna have to find a new place to live, and since you are working from home, we'd love to see you one day. Okay,
I'll be in.
Okay.
I will be in, and I'll be in sooner rather than later. And just to say, we've got a ton of information up on the sports issue, tax dollars for sports stadiums at showmeinstitute.org. A lot of work by my colleague Patrick Toohey out in Kansas City on it, and I hope people check out the website. We do have an event on June 5th at the MAC West, the legislative wrap-up lunch session that people can check out at our events page online, and I hope some of your listeners can come.
What was the date? June what?
June 5th.
All right, great. Thank you so much, heavyweight champion of municipal policy, David Stokes. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, guys.
You got it.
Yeah.
I was not what I was saying when I said I'd find plenty of time to be scared. I don't need much time to be scared. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it really did happen fast.
I'm not a brave guy. I'd be crying and peeing in my pants and everything else on the way down to the basement.
No, you wouldn't have, Vic. You say that, but you wouldn't have.
And again, people that were affected by that tornado, you can help out by going to NewstalkSTL.com. Yeah. Okay. I don't know about you, Cam. I'm a little thirsty. Can we have Miller Time next?
Well, it's Friday.
It's Friday. We can start drinking at any time. Miller Time is next on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL. Number one for live and local conservative talk.
It's Friday.
You're listening to the Vic Porcelli Show.
When people are vaccinated, they can feel safe that they are not going to get infected.
Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
Senator Paul, you don't know what you're talking about. So listen, if you have a tree that you think may be dead, but you're not sure, that's one of the sticky things right now. Honey, is this tree dead or is it just on life support? If it's not dead, guess what? The folks at Roots Plus could bring that tree back to its beautiful appearance, okay? That's what they do. Roots Plus finds innovative root solutions, not just tree removal and pruning. However, if the tree is dead, then they can take care of it for you. They can chop it down. I mean, I know that's the tree removal is the way we should say that. And if they can't help it, if they can't save it, it's risk-free because the money that you put to the saving it can go to taking it away. So they're really just fair, good guys. And again, they did something for me out of the blue, didn't know them, just happened to find them, and they came out and did a great job, very respectful, very professional, and they're just good guys, locally owned and operated too. Stan is a great guy. Roots Plus is the way to go. Check them out at rootsplusllc.com. That's rootsplusllc.com. Or you can call 314-440-3662 and tell them Vic told you to call, please.
Thanks for taking my call.
News, analysis, opinion.
Radio news junkie.
Love every bit about it.
News Talk STL.
Tony Colombo here for my dentist, Dr. Matt Boscia at New Creation Dental Care, the one-stop shop for all your family's dental needs. And Dr. Boscia is always expanding his services, now including the incredible all-on-4 full arch implant procedure, full mouth restoration that can give you back your smile in as little as 1 day. No more suffering with damaged or missing teeth or poor fitting dentures. You can see some amazing smile makeovers, learn more about the all-on-4 procedure, and see everything Dr. Boscia can do right now at newcreationdentalcare.com.
It's brand new year. Tim Jones will tell you about the brand new things happening at The Hideout, famous for the Sunset Patio, 50 big screen TVs, live music and events, a fantastic game room, and of course, the food. The Hideout has a brand new menu featuring their world-famous wings, the best handcrafted burgers, new items like the signature Sunset Dip and Dave's Chili, and a second location at Sugar Creek Golf Course in beautiful High Ridge. Experience the Hideout while enjoying a round of golf. Come in for lunch or dinner. The new 2025 Hideout, hideoutsportsbar.com, hideoutsportsbar.com. We'll definitely see you there. Springtime often means storms. Don't let a fallen tree ruin your day. Call Hanson's Tree. Look them up at hansonstree.com. Hanson's, your expert insured tree care specialist in the St. Louis region and well beyond. In addition to taking care of all the messes, they can take care of beautiful things as well. Organic mulch, tree trimming, grinding, and land clearing, green waste recycling. Let the expert arborists at Hanson's take care of all the tree care for your home or business. 24/7 at hansonstree.com, hansonstree.com.
All the information I need on the drive to work.
Mike Ferguson in the morning. I keep it on throughout the day, whether it's local, national, or something big that's happening overseas.
News, analysis, and opinion.
St. Louis is #1 for conservative talk.
NewstalkSTL.
Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. The Vic Porcelli Show.
Now, my mammal died shortly before I left for Iraq in 2005. And when we went through things, we found 19 loaded handguns.
Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
Great White doing Ian Hunter's Once Bitten, Twice Shy.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it is crazy. So Saturday night, you know what? Songs like this, exactly what JC's Wayback Machine is all about. 6 to 9 o'clock every Saturday night, JC plays those songs that you just don't hear on St. Louis radio anymore. And great stories and A-list interviews and just a whole lot of fun. It's all brought to you by Weber Automotive Group. It's JC's Wayback Machine, Saturday nights, 6 to 9 on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Rumor has it he may come in and pay us a visit.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So that'd be kind of fun to see him.
Talk music with him.
All right, Kenny, I know it's early in the show, but God, I'm so thirsty. It's Miller time.
Welcome to Miller time. It's Miller time. Miller time. Miller time.
So I said to Ken, Ken, Stephen Miller, right? He's the, kind of the assistant chief of staff for President Trump. And his name is Miller.
Right.
There was a beer called Miller. Why don't we do a thing called Miller Time? He says, yeah, okay. Can you make an opening? Oh, yeah, sure, okay. So now he doesn't make an opening, but he makes an opening for something with Stephen Miller with the music of Steve Miller. You're good. You're
Thanks,
very good.
man.
All right, Kenny, let's get going. This is about critical race theory. Ken, give me a Miller.
This administration is also fighting to get critical race theory out of our school districts. Children will be taught to love America. Children will be taught to be patriots. Children will be taught civic values for schools that want federal taxpayer funding. So as we close the Department of Education and we provide funding to states, we are going to make sure that these funds are not being used to promote communist ideology. For any nation to be successful, it cannot teach its children to hate themselves and to hate their country. So these are a few of the areas in which President Trump has fought the cancerous communist woke culture that was destroying this country, where we were led to believe that men were women, that women were men, that racial discrimination was good, that merit was bad, and that safety and physical security mattered less than the feelings of liberal ideologues.
You know, patriotism is something that's so easy to teach your own kids at home.
It really is.
So just a very quick story. I brought the kids to Dave & Buster's one Saturday afternoon, and we had a great time. They had this huge flag displayed in front of the place, and of course the stars are on the wrong side. So we went in and we had fun. And then at the end, when we paid, I said to the girl, I said, "Can I talk to your manager?" And when they hear that, it's like, "Oh my God, is everything okay?" "Yes, everything's fine. Okay, you guys did great. I just have a question for him." So he comes out and you know how they put, was everything okay?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I said, "Yeah, everything was fine, except your American flag outside is not displayed the right way." I said, "The stars should be on the other side. I love your attempt at patriotism, but you kind of missed, you know. Can you turn that around?" And he goes, "Oh my God, I didn't even know." So you should know. If you're going to put a flag up, you should know.
Yeah, well, and I love the fact that he's saying all the things he said about what, you know, they want to teach patriotism to kids. And the one way you can do that, one way that I always did it with my kids, is when you would see a flag and I would say to them, "Man, I got to chill." And they'd be like, "Why do you have a chill, Dad?" I said, "Because I love this country and I love that flag." And then they look at it, they just own it. Then they start to realize, wow, how important this is. I actually received, Vic, online from this comment here, people saying that sounds very Nazi-ish.
What does?
The way that, you know, having kids learn patriotism and be honorable, you know, these things. And I'm like, how could that ever be compared? I know you try to compare everything to Nazism,
Right?
But that's
Fail.
a stretch. That's
Yeah.
a real stretch.
That's a fail. All right. This is all about returning the Department of Justice to its core mission of crazy thought, protecting Americans. Ken, give me a Miller.
The president has also fought to return the Department of Justice to its core mission of protecting public safety and locking up violent criminals, instead of using the Department of Justice to target conservatives, to target Christians, to target people of faith. The last administration cruelly and shamefully used the power of the Justice Department to go after law-abiding Americans, in particular Trump supporters, conservatives, and Christians. That persecution has ended. The Department of Justice and the FBI are back in the business of going after bad guys, of going after gangs, of going after criminals, and keeping Americans safe.
And what the previous administration did, Ken, was very Nazi-like.
Yeah, right.
When people were going to church and they would arrest them. People were just praying outside of an abortion clinic and they got arrested. That's Nazism.
Silently praying, like not even openly praying, but standing there and they're being questioned. "What are you doing here?" "Well, I'm just standing here and I'm praying."
Isn't that like the Nazis?
That is much more like a Nazi regime.
I don't know. I just don't get it. You know,
People know, the American people started to see that. That's the reason why things went sideways for them in the Democrat Party, because people woke up, they were awake, and they said, "Wow, this is really happening."
Yeah. Okay. This is a tariff conversation, a tariff comment from Stephen Miller about automakers and how much money that they say they're going to lose, but they're really going to make. Ken, God, can you give me a Miller?
This morning, GM is putting a dollar figure on how much the president's tariffs will impact the company. The CEO says tariffs will cost GM between $4 and $5 billion this year. The CEO of Ford says he can't commit to not raising prices because of tariffs. Is the administration open to doing more to give automakers relief?
The question, unfortunately, misses the entire point, which is that U.S. automakers have announced dramatic investments and expansions inside the United States. American auto plants are growing, they are expanding, they're opening new facilities, they're expanding existing facilities that are already in operation, because it is now the case that for the first time in our lives, that American cars receive preference in America's markets.
Stop.
The U.S.
I saw a commercial for Volkswagen the other night, and it says proudly made in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Yeah, yeah.
So even the foreign cars are being made here. American cars absolutely should be made here. And when the foreign cars are made here too, that's a win-win.
Can you remind me of something, Vic?
What, Ken?
When did Donald Trump and his administration become inaugurated? What
January 20th, 2025.
Oh, this year.
Yeah, this year.
Okay, so it's been a few months, 5 months,
Yeah,
4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
Okay, give him a little time.
Yeah.
This transition is happening, and it's going to happen really, really well. And this is truly going to be the golden age. But give it a little time.
Yeah, give it time.
Just a little bit.
Back to Steve.
All right.
Let me finish my beer.
Yeah,
Finish my Miller.
Finish your Miller.
Auto industry used to control the entire world. I believe the number during the heyday was that 70% of all cars in the world were made in Michigan. And now, of course, we've become a tiny fraction of the global market. And the reason for that is because the United States opened its markets to every single foreign cheater and every single foreign nation that subsidized its goods on the face of the earth. And their markets have been closed to ours. Japan closed their market to our cars. The entire EU closed their market to our cars. South Korea closed their market to our cars. All of the countries I just mentioned have tens of billions of dollars of annual trade deficits in automobiles with the United States. These are supposedly pure nations, nations that have at least a somewhat equivalent per capita GDP. So it is impossible under the terms of fair trade, if you have two nations with similar per capita GDP, to have such uneven trade flows in automobiles.
Sorry. I got distracted watching the cartoon. I tell you, you're missing so much if you don't watch the stream of this show, right? First of all the handsomeness here in this. But Ken's got a cartoon caricature of Stephen Miller.
Now it looks like you're talking.
It looks like he's saying what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Right? I'm Stephen Miller, and I'm real smart. All right, let's do one more, Ken.
Okay.
I just want one more. It'll be last call for alcohol. Ken, give me a Miller.
Stephen, what is the end goal of the China tariffs?
Stop. Right away, I don't like this guy.
Okay. Why?
Just go back to the beginning.
All right.
Stephen, just the way he said it, he's being very condescending, and he's setting up a gotcha question,
Okay,
right? I guarantee it's a gotcha question. Go ahead.
Stephen, what is the end goal of the China tariffs right now? Is the idea to open up the Chinese markets through a deal to a better market for exporting American goods to China, or is it a reconfiguration of global trade in a way that isolates China from free countries?
No. So China's unique
Stop.
situation.
No.
No. So anyway,
sit down, and I'll tell you what it is. Go ahead.
Situation. Obviously, the president has talked at length about what happened to us economically since China's entrance into the World Trade Organization and the trillions and trillions of dollars of trade deficits that we've racked up with China over the period of that time, and what that's meant for our national security, what that's meant for economic security, what that's meant for our supply chains. Obviously, right now, the Secretary of the Treasury is in the process of developing a plan that will answer the questions that you're talking about. But the president's goals have been very clear on these points, which is that he is not going to allow China to continue to steal our intellectual property, to continue to illegally dump and subsidize their goods in our markets, to manipulate their currency, to rack up an unsustainable trade deficit. We need to have a trade relationship with China that does not do harm to our nation's economic and national security. And that has to be the guidepost of any objective. At the same time, tariffs will bring significant revenue into this country that will allow us to pursue our dramatic plan of tax cuts and reforms.
If this were not real life, if this were a cartoon, like a Warner Brothers cartoon, the guy who asked that question would be in the fetal position on the floor sucking his thumb.
Yeah, right.
All right, that's all the time we have for Miller Time.
Miller time. Miller time.
Love it. Love Miller time. A little early for us to be having Millers. But...
not according to Jamie Allman. He has 3 martinis, by then. So we
Not
better
according
warm
to
up
our
with at least a Miller.
Company, our official company drinker. Well, that's not true. Larry Connors is a pretty good drinker.
He's a
too.
great drinker, yeah.
Unfortunately, he's too drunk to come on with us today. Is that why he's not coming on?
He's gonna get you for that one.
Is that not why?
That's not why.
Oh, okay.
No, he's on a flight somewhere.
Anyway, that's why we did Miller Time here instead of Larry Connors. They're gonna kill me. They're both gonna kill me.
Yeah.
Former Missouri Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft. He's coming up next on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL, number 1 for live and local conservative talk.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. You're listening to the Vic Porcelli Show.
Be cool, honey bunny. Be cool.
Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
Cool, honey bunny. So these tornadoes that hit 1 week ago today, so many houses, businesses. We heard from David Stokes how the Show Me building was basically destroyed. They're not going to be there anymore.
Right.
Find a whole new place to do business. And a lot of people's homes too, just crumbled. Roofs torn off. So now this is a case where if you do go out the next day and you see shingles and stuff on the floor, more than likely they came from your roof with such a powerful storm. So don't you fear. Go to Kathy and Rob Connor, and they will, from beginning to end, get you out of this and get you comfortable again with a new roof or a repaired roof for your home. Now, they've been doing this for 30 years, so they know what they're doing. That's number one. They will always give you an honest estimate. You know, it would have been great if Goober Roofing, if their trucks got sent away and we hear
Sounds like you're talking about an ad for a new kind of commercial.
Huh. I'll be damned. Honest estimate, quality work, absolutely great customer service after the work, and you know what? Emergency storm repairs too is what they're all about. So get in touch with Connor Roofing. I promise you they'll help you. I wouldn't put my name on anything they do if I didn't believe it. All right. ConnorRoofing.com. That's CONNER roofing.com.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Well, it's officially happened. The House has passed the One Big Beautiful Bill, and we've got Congressman Bob Onder on at 420 to share what happened during those late night discussions.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Nate Lucas here for the Village Bar in the heart of Des Peres. Since 1948, the Village Bar has been the go-to destination for delicious food, cold drinks, and unbeatable atmosphere. Savor their famous wings, burgers, and onion rings, or grab a drink from their fully stocked bar. Catch all the big games and enjoy the company of their friendly staff. Plus, don't miss the 1879 Distillery, a one-of-a-kind experience right next door. The Village Bar offers the best value in town. Find the Village Bar on Facebook and come experience where history meets great times. You'll be glad you did.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you're testing your blood sugar 4 or more times per day, injecting insulin 3 or more times per day, or using an insulin pump, call the Diabetic Health Hotline today.
800-515-2380. That's 800-515-2380. Paid for by U.S. Med.
Mr. Connor's Neighborhood, brought to you by Proctor Drapery Blinds and Shutters. Proctor, spelled like doctor. ProctorDrapery.com. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. The Vic Porcelli Show.
How dare you?
Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
I can't tell you how many lies are made up by MAGA followers about me. I done been all kinds of things. And none of it is true just because they put it out there on social media. That is the problem that we're having right now in this country, is that it seems like nobody cares about the truth anymore. And what we're trying to do is say we have a fact finding. And let me be clear. I am not saying that the criminal justice system or any other justice system has ever always been perfect. I am not trying to say that. But we do have a system, and that system is supposed to be based upon the Constitution. And right now, like literally due process comes from the Constitution. This should be the highest protections that one can have in the land. And right now it seems like y'all don't care about the Constitution.
Y'all don't care about the Constitution. Let's talk to the former Secretary of State in Missouri. His name is Jay Ashcroft. Mr. Secretary, good morning. Happy birthday.
Good morning. Happy birthday. And I feel dumber for having listened to that.
She's the pride of St. Louis. She's the pride of MICDS and Rosati Kane. I'm sure that in English class, they told her, okay, class, today we're going to talk about I be doing, and that's what we're going to learn.
Right.
I mean, God, she's such an idiot. And you know what she does? She uses that liberal phrase, let me be clear.
Yeah.
As soon as you hear a liberal say, let me be clear, it's going to be so convoluted we can't keep up.
It's just ridiculous. And to hear a congresswoman like that saying, let's be honest, and that's what we need is to tell the truth. Excuse me.
Yeah.
When did the light go on in her head about that? It's been decades.
It's just amazing to me. And she's one of the leaders now. I mean, the Democrats are so in disarray that we should never lose an election ever again.
That's a good thing. I mean, if she's the best they can find, the future is bright for reasonable, well-thinking, normal people.
Yep, she's not. Well, she's not the AOC is a step ahead of her, I guess, because AOC is just so darn smart. All right.
How bad do you have to be for AOC to be a step ahead of you?
Right.
And then Bernie Sanders being the leader of the whole thing. I mean, he's actually the patriarch, I guess you could say.
The patriarch of oligarchy that he's trying to fight.
Yeah.
All right. So, boy, what a ruse the entire Biden administration was on the American public, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was all smoke and mirrors. It wasn't the truth, which, going back to what the Congresswoman was saying, it was all about fooling the people and putting the wool over their eyes. It's terrible. It's a horrendous thing.
And I think that there's so many people to blame here. The left-wing media who, chastised us for possibly thinking there's something wrong with Joe. There's something wrong with him. What? You people are just crazy, MAGA Republicans. And we were right.
Well, and the same left-wing media that's making money writing books on, oh, guess what? Look at this decline that all these people hit. Yeah. No, you were the guys that hit it.
The name of that book should be called "You Were Right" by Jake Tapper.
You were right.
Vic and Ken, you were right.
You were
by
right.
Jake Tapper. I don't know. It's how close do you have to be? I mean, we watched it on television, right? Watched him wander around stages, watch him mumble and fumble and stumble an easy sentence. And people close to him couldn't see it. I mean, I think you have a responsibility if you're in that administration or an aide or anything else to let us know that.
You do have a responsibility. And I mean, we joked about it. We talked about it. But there are times I kind of felt bad about joking about it because I was like, wait a minute. This is really serious.
Yeah.
And you couldn't avoid talking about it because it mattered, but it was just wrong that his wife and his supposed friends would run him out like that just for their own, I guess, power.
As soon as we saw Dr. Jill lead a cabinet meeting, that should have been the tipping point right there.
Well, I think for a long time, conservatives have been saying it's ridiculous to call her doctor because she's not the sort of doctor people mean and need. And clearly she wasn't the sort of doctor or person that her husband needed.
All right, look, I don't want this conversation to go by without talking about those two kids that were killed in D.C. by a crazy left-wing socialist free Palestine gun-toting guy. But what are your thoughts on that whole situation?
I think it's horrendous. Look, it's really. I don't think we should ever glorify someone dying. It's sad. It's someone's son. It's someone's daughter. But it's just evil when you have someone that has been so brainwashed by the left to think that because of a certain religious belief or ethnicity, that someone needs to die. I mean, that is horrendous. That's the sort of thing that liberals are always projecting upon conservatives. But it's not the conservatives that are doing it. Conservatives believe in life. And it's just terrible. And frankly, it's terrible when you have anti-Semitic attacks in Washington, D.C., and it's terrible to see the lives that were lost due to the tornado and due to government officials that just couldn't be bothered to do their job.
Yeah. There's just so much that we were right about for so many years. But here's the thing, okay? With President Trump's Donald John Grover Cleveland Trump plan, it's almost better that he lost in 2020, and we have him now when we really need him, as rigged as that 2020 election was.
I don't like to disagree with you, but frankly, I would have loved to have had him in 2020 and avoided this whole Biden Kamala stuff. I mean, the damage that was. I mean, I can't agree with you on that one.
I can actually see both sides of that argument, though. I mean, it's really it's amazing that we survived the last 4 years, but now we do have him, and people have actually seen now what they're capable of doing, and they I mean, Mr. Secretary, they're outed now.
You know, I'd rather be in the first term of our new president that used to be vice president than or second term of Trump. I would have rather had Trump, and then his vice president take over. That would be the perfect world for me, I think.
I got you.
Okay, whatever. All I'm saying is we need him now. That's all I'm saying.
It's okay. You're on the record as saying that you're glad Donald Trump wasn't elected in 2020.
Yeah. I got the recording now too. I'm going to put it up on everything.
I'm taking the fifth. I am pleading the fifth. No more of this. All right, so let's talk a little sports, and then we'll wrap it up here for a Friday. Cardinals looking pretty good lately, don't you think?
Yeah, they had a slow start. They're doing better. They're showing some grit. Hopefully that pitching continues to improve and the timely hitting. But it's great to be able to start thinking about the heat being on again in St. Louis, which I guess shows my age, remembering the heat is on.
Oh,
Glenn Fry. Battle Hawks playing today.
Love it. Go for the W. Oh, I love it. This is just great for the state.
It really
is.
After
the tornado coming through and the lives that were hurt, it's great to have the weekend. It's great to have fun stuff that people can celebrate as they rebuild. And it's great to see the community coming together to help people.
Yeah, it really is. And, we're going to have so many games, 2 playoff games here in St. Louis. You might as well have our team be in both of those games. So let's hope they win.
You think they'll have enough money to make sure that the tornado sirens work next time if they have those games here?
Hey, you know what? That whole thing right there with I almost said tomato sirens, the tornado sirens. I am Italian, so I get to make that mistake
sirens. I
once
mean,
in a
that'd be a
while.
big deal too.
But she was having. I'm sorry. It was having a workshop in a different building when the news says a tornado is coming. I mean, I don't know how to run a city or a county or a state or the country, but my God, how stupid are you?
And now there is on paid, the individual's on paid leave. Excuse me, how clear does it have to be that there was ineptitude? I mean, that should be someone should be fired and immediately replaced.
Not a paid vacation.
No.
Because that's what said.
Maybe there ought to be a law that, if people die because of the negligence or ineptitude of the government of the city of St. Louis, that none of the politicians get paid until no one has died on their watch because of their ineptitude for 30 days.
And Kara Spencer, whether it was genuine or not,
I don't blame her. She's new.
Yeah, but she was just absolutely horrified by it. But I wasn't sure it sounded genuine.
She seemed like she was really upset.
Yeah,
but
give her a break. She's new. This was. I mean,
yeah.
You got to give a newly elected individual. I mean, look, I would not have voted for her if I were in the city. She and I disagree on a lot of things, but give her a chance.
Apparently, you and I disagree on a lot of things. You want to wrestle? Do you want to wrestle me? Is that what you want?
Look, I just like Donald Trump. I'm sorry you don't.
Oh my God!
Wow, he got him on that one.
Oh my God! I'm sorry. The lines. You're breaking up, Mr. Secretary. All I'm saying is we need him now. That's all I'm saying. All right.
Oh, we do.
And then we can have J.D. Vance in 2028, and then we can have Marco Rubio in 32 and 36.
Well, no,
right?
you have J.D. Vance 2 terms.
Oh, sorry, you're right.
28. You don't really like J.D. Vance either.
You don't like J.D. Vance, Vic?
Oh my God, I quit. I'm not doing this job anymore. Hey, Mr. Secretary, have a great Memorial Day weekend.
Have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend, and remember why we have it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is he going? Happy birthday! Make sure he's going. What the hell?
He got you.
What? I'm just saying.
He knows what you're saying.
No, I know he knows, but he's picking on me. And if he wants to wrestle, I'll wrestle.
Yeah, sure you would.
He's a big guy.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not going to wrestle him. But I don't know if I explained myself the right way or not.
No, you did. You just disagree. He said what he's saying is we needed a consistent path all the way through. You're saying that there's a poetic advantage to having him now versus for 2 terms.
Is that what I'm saying?
Back to back. Yeah, kind of. Because you like the Grover Cleveland reference.
I do.
So there you go.
Is it wrong?
No.
It sounds like you're saying
wrong.
It sounds like you're saying
I'm wrong. No, it's fine.
Listen, I just want to be loved. Is that so wrong?
Is that so wrong? I love that line.
So just for this, Harvey Weinstein is the guy who. No, not Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Who's the Harvey Weinstein? Who's the guy that's in jail right now who made the movies? Isn't that Harvey?
No, that's Harvey Weinstein. Yeah, that's Harvey Weinstein. Yeah, that's not him.
Well, the guy I'm thinking about, with the gravelly voice who did La Casa Fall and all that. I got to interview him once, And I said, and this was at the river too. This wasn't that long ago. I said, so I got to ask you, did you ever say, I just want to be loved? Is that so wrong? And first of all, he laughed at the impression of him. And then he said, no, John Lovitz just found a phrase, said it, and that was it. And everybody thought he said it, but he didn't say it.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah. I can't think of his name. And I'm not going to right now. Okay.
No.
So anyway, listen, this is Memorial Day. And I saw two posts over the weekend, over the night. And both of them, basically from veterans, said the same thing. This weekend is not for us. Don't say anything to us on Memorial Day. Thank the people who gave their lives during battle. And people don't understand that, Ken.
Yeah, I mean, it's not one of those things you say, Happy Memorial Day, because, if you remember, they used to have this for a short time, the big mattress sale on Memorial Day sale. It's not about that at all. It's not even close to that.
And it's not to, they'll tell you, though, it's not for veterans who are still with us. It's not.
It's Memorial Day.
I mean, you could still go up to any veteran and say, thank you for serving.
Absolutely. You always.
But this weekend is for those who
gave it all.
Died. Right.
And I want to mention Charles Anthony McGurk. That's my uncle. And we lost him in Vietnam.
And I'm so sorry about that.
And it's as relevant today as it was then. And every single person who passed in these wars should be recognized and remembered and thought about this weekend.
If you live in West County, visit the Manchester Veterans Memorial. It really is very moving and very touching, and they'll have a ceremony there, I think, tomorrow. All right. It is a Friday. That's for sure. Can't be wrong about that. We found out that former Secretary of State hates me, and we will talk to Susie more next on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL. Welcome home.
The Herzog Tomorrow Foundation provides private school tuition scholarships through Missouri's new Most Scholars program to cover the cost of accessible, high-quality schooling.
Hi, this is Myella Esser with the Herzog Tomorrow Foundation. Our private school tuition scholarships wouldn't be possible without the support of generous Missouri taxpayers. If you're a Missouri taxpayer interested in redirecting your tax dollars and sending them to Missouri students in need of a better education, please contact me at herzogmostscholars.org.
Better education for students creates a better tomorrow for all. Learn how you can help provide a better education for Missouri students at herzogmostscholars.org. That's herzogmostscholars.org. Also, sign up for The Lion, an initiative of the Herzog Foundation that carries articles covering a wide range of issues facing American families and culture. herzogfoundation.com. That's herzogfoundation.com.
This is Mark Harder with RE/MAX Results, the #1 RE/MAX franchise in the region. As a licensed real estate broker with RE/MAX Results for over 20 years, I've seen the ups and downs of many real estate markets, including the one we're in right now. With the spring market in full swing, now is the time to leap into the buying or selling of your home. Someday is not a day. Today is the day to make your move. Call me at 314-852-8933 or email me at markhardersells@gmail.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019 94.1 and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
This hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. The Trump administration is crossing swords with Harvard University again. The administration is revoking the school's ability to enroll international students, and Harvard is hitting back with a lawsuit. President Trump is ramping up his tariff threats. That's sending Wall Street lower.
In another escalation of his trade war, the president is recommending 50% tariffs on the European Union starting on June 1st. He complained on social media that his administration's discussions with the EU are going nowhere. Donald Trump also threatened to impose a 25% import tax on iPhones not made in the U.S. He said he has told Apple CEO Tim Cook to move iPhone manufacturing to the United States. Greg Clugston, Washington.
A vigil last evening outside the Capitol Jewish Museum in Washington, D.C., where 2 Israeli embassy aides were fatally shot Wednesday night. The gunman who shouted "Free Palestine" upon his arrest faces a slew of charges, including first-degree murder. The victims, a soon-to-be engaged young couple, were at the museum for an American Jewish Committee event. The small plane clipped a power line in heavy fog before crashing in a San Diego neighborhood yesterday, killing at least 3 people on board the plane. One home in the military housing community took a direct hit, but the home's occupants managed to escape unharmed.
Just like anything, it was, for me, it's a little bit of a miracle, right? A plane hits your house. I don't know exactly how they got out, but I do know that neighbors helped them get out. And that's the beauty of what I love in this neighborhood too. And military looking out for one another. They did exactly what they did to try to help each other.
San Diego Assistant Fire Chief Dan Eddy. On Wall Street this morning, stocks are in the red. The Dow down 353 points. The Nasdaq Composite Index off 221, and the S&P trading 56 points lower. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Right now, with an important alert, home title fraud is one of the fastest growing white-collar crimes in the country. Criminals can make millions on your house without you even knowing it. Michael, you were one of those criminals?
Yeah, that's right. I was responsible for about $16 million in equity theft and title fraud.
Wow.
And to be honest, it was easy to do. It's just paperwork. So by the time you find out what's happening, the equity in your home is gone.
So how do you keep your property and equity safe? For more, here's Action News reporter Ron Stevens.
Well, Monica, an in-depth investigation found there's actually just one company that prevents this type of crime from happening: Equity Protect. Equity Protect scans, monitors, alerts, and most importantly, protects you from any attempts to tamper with or steal your home equity and ownership 24 hours a day. Other companies merely monitor. Equity Protect stops the crime from happening. Find out if you're already a victim or take a free risk assessment today at equityprotect.com. That's equityprotect.com.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Another cooler than normal day today. That's just not going to change anytime soon. 73 for the afternoon high with a slow increase in cloud cover. Maybe a sprinkle or a quick light shower this evening, down to 57 for the low tonight. A lot of dry time Saturday, but limited sunshine. 71 for the high tomorrow with just a 20% chance of a shower. Sunday brings the highest rain chances of the 3-day holiday weekend. Let's be ready for some on and off rain. A high of only 66. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour, the Vic Porcelli Show, brought to you by Proctor Drapery Blinds and Shutters. Proctor, spelled like doctor. ProctorDrapery.com. Vic Porcelli.
Come on, you're Italian. You understand.
Every day is a busy day all of a sudden.
You talking to me? You talking to me?
Tough and smart, and I love Italian, so he's definitely Italian.
At least I have this show to come and talk about it and let some stuff up.
What kind of a show are you guys putting on here today?
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Hour number 2 of 3, thanks to the great Ken Williams.
Hey, Vic.
What?
I want to interrupt you for a second. I just got a text from our program director, Tony Colombo.
Yeah.
It says here, in quotes, it says, "I'm glad Donald Trump lost the 2020 election. Vic Porcelli 2025.
That's how fake news happens. That's how fake news happens, okay?
It is.
Because I didn't say I'm glad Donald Trump lost the 2020 election. What I'm saying is that we need him now. That's basically all I'm saying is we need him now, okay? Then it gets better. That was by Tony Colombo, right? Did you say that?
Right,
okay.
right.
And then he goes on to say, you're talking about Harvey Fierstein, not Weinstein. And I said, right. He goes, right, glad Trump lost, or right about Harvey? I think it's both. That's what he said. I think it's both. So number one, if you find Tony Colombo dead in a pool of his own blood, I did it. Number 2, I just want to be loved. Is that so wrong?
Oh, Susie Q, baby, I love you. Susie Q.
I'm the boss.
I should have listened to Susie more from the beginning.
I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right about that.
Good morning, Smoozy Q.
Good morning, Vic. Happy almost holiday weekend.
Yes. And Susie is the deputy managing editor at redstake.com, also, of course, a contributor. And you wrote a great article about the sirens and the lack of sirens on Friday. I mean, here's the thing for me, Susie. If you have a TV or if you have any way to find out what the weather's going to be like in the next couple of days, you knew a tornado was coming. So why do you schedule off-campus meetings when you know a tornado is coming and leave that button unattended?
No, that's a very good question. And I think that's why we're seeing that the person in charge of that office has been put on leave and that there's being an investigation into it, because clearly somebody was not thinking this through and they didn't. I mean, this was a massive fail.
And Susie, I correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't SEMA stand for City Emergency Management Agency? And she's Sarah, the they, them, she's a commissioner of that. And that's like her main job, to know this.
You had one job. This is that meme.
Right. And she even said when she was speaking, we got the recording of her saying, "Oh yeah, we usually work, during regular business hour." Okay, that's irrelevant right now for two reasons. Number one, it doesn't matter if there's an emergency when it is, and number two, it was at about 2:45 in the afternoon on a Friday, so it was during their regular business hours.
Maybe it depends on how she defines regular business hours.
That's true.
But yeah, either way, it should have been, it should have been addressed. It should have been handled. It should have never happened the way it did. And at a minimum, if they were going to be gone, if there was some reason why they were not going to be able to activate it, then they should have been clear in their communication to the fire department that someone at the fire department was in charge of activating it.
Right.
Either way, it was a complete fail all the way around. And it's just, there's no way to know if the, people that were killed or injured, if the sirens would have made a difference specifically in their cases. But you have to, it's a fair inference to make. And at a minimum, no matter how you slice it, those sirens are there for a reason. They need to be activated when this type of thing happens. And it's mind-boggling to me, just the level of ineptitude that we're seeing here. And I'm hopeful that because it, got highlighted, that it's being addressed appropriately. I do get the sense from Mayor Spencer that she absolutely is, focused on this and making sure that this never happens again, but it's just distressing.
And I guess we're not allowed to ask, was that a DEI hire? I guess we're not allowed to ask that, right?
I think you're allowed to ask it.
Thank
I mean, I don't have any way to answer it. I don't know for sure. I understand why people are asking. I don't. Here's the bottom line. I don't care why she was hired. She didn't do her job.
Right.
So there need to be repercussions.
Yeah.
Do we know, is Kara Spencer like on the her list, whatever, or is she any part of that LGBT
I don't know if
community?
Kara has specified pronouns or not. She is very progressive. And so she could very well. I will just say this. I mean, I don't know her personally. I was at the press conference on Monday there at the command center, and I was standing 5 feet from her when she spoke after Josh Hawley spoke. And all my takeaway from it and from some of the other appearances I've seen her make is that she's engaged and competent. And I feel much better with her being in that role than Tashara, because she at least seems to care.
Is she gay is my question.
I honestly don't know. If I were going to bet money on it, I think yes, but I'm not 100% sure.
Not that matters.
Yeah, no,
I was just curiously asking.
Yeah, that's all.
And she's been a known entity for a long time. She was obviously on the board of aldermen for years. I'm sure that's something we could find out very easily. I just don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah, as long as she's doing her job. I actually am a little bit relieved by her passion. When she was on television. And she did have tears. My big thing, Vic, you talk about tells all the time.
Yeah.
My big tell is when someone's acting like they're crying, they're just crying like crazy, and there's not one teardrop. To me, that's a tell that they're not sincere. And she actually had tears. So I was, oh, wow.
That's a great point. And I agree with Ken.
She could be snowing me, but right now my read on her is that she's very sincere and she sincerely wants to do do her job and do what's best for the city. So I will give her that. We'll see.
I asked Grok if Kara Spencer is gay, and they said, Grok says, there's no definitive information available from reliable public sources that confirms the sexual orientation of Kara Spencer, the current mayor of St. Louis, Missouri.
And the fact that she keeps that secret is great. I mean, I think that, people wouldn't know what I am, they
You're right.
They would have no idea, because I don't walk around going, I am heterosexual Ken.
Right. When's heterosexual month? Now, okay, one more thing on the sirens, and then we'll move on, Susie. Now, the county, St. Louis County, their emergency management system there is unbelievable. It used to be, if you remember, do you guys remember that the sirens would go off if a neighboring counties had tornadoes? Like, say, if Jefferson County had a tornado, our sirens would go off.
Yeah.
Not only does it not do that anymore, now it specifies if North County has the siren, you're not even going to hear it in South County or in West County.
Yeah, it's very geographically specific. I mean, obviously, St. Louis County is a large geographical area, so you could have a tornado going on in North County and, sunny skies in South County. So it is important to have that distinction. But yes, they have definitely fine-tuned that, if you will, and that's obviously that's a good thing.
Okay, let's move on.
Hey,
Yep.
Vic.
Yes,
real
Susie.
quick, I just need to tell you this. I happened to look her up while we were talking. It does not say on her Wikipedia page whether she is married, whether she has a partner, what her personal life is about, but it does say she graduated from Parkway South High School.
How about that?
Huh.
That's where my
How
kids
about
went.
that?
So she might
I know, that's why
been
I
my
mentioned it.
neighbor. Yeah.
She might have been.
And how old is she? Do we know how old she is?
She's 46.
46. Okay, so that's older than all my kids. I never would have saw her in a play or
No.
an
No.
improv show or anything like that. All right, Susie, we have to talk about those two kids that were murdered, the embassy workers, by a guy who yelled "Free Palestine." And the Today Show wants to know, maybe it might be a hate crime, maybe.
Yeah, this one's a little easy to tell, I guess I would say. I mean, the person, the perpetrator, the accused killer, has been very open with his motivation, and I mean, it's still hard to wrap your brain around that somebody would think that way and think that this was the appropriate answer to whatever their grievance is. But I guess at a minimum, we can be. I don't know what the word is because I don't want to. I mean, it's helpful, I guess, to know very clearly what the person's motive is, because then you can just sort of address it head on instead of dancing around it and guessing.
Mm-hmm. And I think, Karen Cataline, you know Karen, right? She's on with us twice a week.
Oh, yeah.
And she put on X, she said, time to stop hiding, being shy, or in denial. Kristallnacht has already come to America. I thought that the comparison between what's happening here and Kristallnacht was very profound.
Yeah. And I completely understand why she, feels that way, and as do many people. I just shared this. Of course, Bonte is one of our great writers at Red State, and he's got a piece up this morning about the press's reaction to this story and how ridiculous it is. And I actually just shared this, and I just think it's so good that I'm going to say it now. He said, "We've had two left-wing assassins succeed in murdering people in the streets for ideological reasons. We've had two other left-wing assassins unsuccessfully try to kill now President Donald Trump. We've had left-wing terrorists set Tesla dealerships on fire, beat Jews in the streets at places like Harvard, and attempt to blow up an IVF clinic. Yet NBC News is focused like a laser beam on white nationalism being the supposed primary threat to the nation."
Yep.
White supremacy,
Very
existential
succinct.
threat
Wow.
to the United States. It's just ridiculous. And you know what else I happened to notice this past week? Al Roker refuses to say the Gulf of America. He still calls it the Gulf of Mexico.
Well, bully for him.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, okay, that's a great stand, Al. Good for you. But I hope it makes you feel good. I don't know.
I'm glad Vic brought that up, because I was thinking about this morning. Al Roker, he walks around as the doting old weather guy. He's so sweet, so kind, dresses really flashy and all that stuff. But the guy has an agenda, and every time he opens up that damn weather map, it's all blood red during the summer and ice blue during the winter. It's crazy the way he's modifying everything to be a climate crisis.
Yeah. Well, he clearly has a political agenda and leanings, and anybody who's not oblivious recognizes that, and I guess that's all well and good. But it's I'm not spending my time watching Al Roker.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I watch it in the morning, so our listeners don't.
Exactly right.
You guys are really the sacrifice.
We are sacrificing
every
You're right.
morning, Susie, and I hate it.
Now here's a comparison of two renaming situations, right? President Trump is renaming the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. I thought that was a great idea. And if you say that, you're a right-wing MAGA extremist, right? Like Al Roker's proving. But when Barack Obama changed the name of Mount McKinley to Mount Denali, nobody had a problem with that.
No.
Right.
I did.
The media didn't, though.
The media didn't, right.
Yeah. I mean, that's a very good comparison. And here's the thing. I mean, place names do change, and sometimes it's for political reasons. Sometimes it's just to honor somebody and to bring something up to date. But the changing of a place name is not unheard of, and it does seem to matter who is the one that that sets that suggests the change, that determines whether people are on board with it or not.
And by the way, President Trump has turned it back into Mount McKinley.
Right. He has. Although I will tell you, our Alaska man, Ward Clark, tells me that most Alaskans just still call it Denali, and they always have.
Wait a minute. They always called it Denali before?
It was Denali before it was Mount McKinley.
Why? Why did they call it that?
That's what the native peoples called
it. Yeah.
I don't understand. It was Mount McKinley. Why would they call it Denali?
No, it was Denali before it became Mount McKinley. It didn't become Mount McKinley until after President McKinley.
I did not know that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So the locals in Alaska all kind of just refer to it as Denali anyway, and they always have. In other words, they never really went with McKinley.
Yeah.
Either way, it's fine. It's just interesting that people do seem to embrace it depending on who's the one suggesting.
Well, the difference is, though, is you have people who are resisting, Trump. That's their whole focus.
Oh, yeah.
The whole thing you're talking about with the people who are local there, they're just naming it that because that's all what they always known.
Correct.
Right.
Plus,
that's just a localism, not a political thing.
Plus, Alaska was not a state in the time period we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Correct.
So now that they're a state, they better call it McKinley. You tell Ward Clark.
I'll let him know.
Yeah.
We'll let him know. Vic says, we're going McKinley.
Vic, he's the guy that you say Russian soldiers, and you're telling.
I'll bet he killed a few Chechnyan rebels. Yeah,
and you're telling him something. No,
he's far enough away.
That's true. That's true.
If he were around the block, I'd be like, "Oh no, yeah, Denali."
No, Denali. Yeah.
I got to be calling it.
Visit Iowa a couple times a year because he has family there, so you just never know.
Oh,
let me know when that happens, will you? So I can hide somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Did you happen to ask him? Here's 6 songs to get the weekend in to do the Jay Giles band one week. Did you tell him that?
You know what? I have not proposed that to him yet, but I have a note to myself because you asked me that last week to do that. So I will bring it up with him for sure.
So far, that note to yourself hasn't done anything.
That's right.
So if you can take,
she's busy, Vic.
Instead of writing the note to yourself, if you can write the
now Ken has a fair point. I've been a little bit busy of late, but I did write it down. I promise.
Susie, we just talked about that. What kind of a week we've had because of all the news. I mean, it's amazing.
It's been insane. Now, on any given day at Red State, like during the week, it's normal for us to have, maybe 40, 45 articles up. I mean, that's a pretty good, solid weekday. We've had like 60 articles up. And that's, being sort of shorthanded on writers. So there's just been so much to cover. It's very hard to keep up with it all.
Well, I subscribe to Red State and I can't keep up with you guys.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Whatever. Kiss ass. Ken's a kiss ass.
It worked.
So
yeah, you're right. You're right. So we do this every Wednesday, I believe it is. We do Heard It on the X. Is that Wednesday or Tuesday? Tuesday we do I Heard It on the X. And we just read some quotes that people put on X. And this past Tuesday, we used one of yours.
You did? I missed it.
It was tired and I'd like to turn in, but the storms are being jerks.
Yeah, I don't remember. I guess that was Tuesday or Monday. I don't know. It was Monday.
Yeah.
It was Monday.
So,
yeah.
And then there's another one on Monday. You were on fire on Monday. You also said, holy smokes, that was a loud and sudden thunderclap plus lightning. What's NGL? You have NGL -1.
Not gonna lie.
Oh, is that something we should know? Is that a hip thing? Like,
yeah,
the kids are saying today?
Like lit? It's lit.
It's lit.
Yeah.
The weather was lit. And then you said, and they damn well better leave my shelter dogs alone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because there was tornadic activity kind of down in like south of Pacific, and that's where the shelter is, and I was very concerned about the puppos, but thankfully they were okay.
Oh, good.
So at my house, Sally is still getting used to life. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah.
She's only
Yeah.
2, and during the storm, she wanted to go out. And I said, "You don't want to go out there. I'm telling you now.
Telling you
do
right now.
not want to go out there." So I opened the back door, and sometimes she just stands there and looks out
Mhm.
into the yard. Do I want to go out there? And then the loudest clap of thunder when she went, "Oh my God! Let me back in. I'm not going out there." I told you. I told you. But she's getting used to life.
Yeah.
She can never.
Yeah. Well, good.
She can never be a service dog because she's afraid of the noise.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? My Daisy's just, I think, a little older than Sally, just barely, but she's not bothered by storms. She thinks it's fine to go outside in them, and I have to persuade her otherwise. But she jumped with that loud thunderclap that I was talking about. I mean, that was a big one. It was like all at once and just kind of came out of nowhere. I was like, boom.
You know, when you get you know this, when you get a shelter dog, you really want to treat them well because they might not have been treated. We have spoiled this dog, created a monster that she is so spoiled.
They're like furry baby lap dogs.
She's a brat. She is a spoiled brat. And you know what else?
At least you know why.
You know what else? She's a bitch. I do have a dictionary.
Literally.
I do have a dictionary. Yes. All right.
Literally?
Susie, thanks so much. Smoozy Q on X, and she's the deputy managing editor of RedState.com. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, guys. You too.
Bye, Susie.
She made me laugh. She's like, want to go to bed, but the storms are being jerks.
I know.
They're being jerks.
Jerks.
I'm like
NGL.
And which stands what?
Not going to lie.
Not going to lie.
The kids are saying.
We need a hip lesson, I think.
We do. A hip lesson. Well, you just said it, and that means we really need one.
Because I said hip lesson?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I just know that my kids started to say these little 3-letter things like LOL, you know. We say LOL, right? People say LOL.
Yeah, yeah.
But then my daughters were like, IKR. I was like, now what the hell is that? She goes, I know, right? I said, whoa. If you're going to do that, then you have to say it right. You have to say IKR.
Right.
I know, right?
Right.
So you have to say IKR.
Right.
Do you get me?
Yeah.
You look at me like you don't get me.
No, I totally get it.
Oh, my God. I quit.
No, don't quit.
I'm not doing this
You're
anymore.
okay.
Okay. Lots more to come on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL. Welcome home.
Stream the Vic Porcelli Show at News Talk STL. The Vic Porcelli Show.
Court will take a 60-minute recess for lunch.
Your Honor, I respectfully request a full day's continuance to go over all this stuff.
Don't you cuss on this here radio. On News Talk STL.
All right, we're heading into the weekend, and that means another great edition of the radio show called Serenity Wealth Now. Sunday mornings, 9 o'clock. What happens on that show, Ken?
It's fun with finance.
Oh, be damned. And it's going to be a sizzling version of the show Serenity Wealth Now with Chris, because they're going to talk to a guy about grilling and sizzling.
Oh, wow,
and,
sizzling. It'll be sizzling. It'll be hot.
Yeah, he's even doing good radio stuff.
Yeah.
Chris Cooper. Chris is at Serenity Wealth Management, and you'll find as soon as you walk into his office, it's a different kind of vibe. You know, it's not stuffy. It's not unfriendly. It's very friendly.
Get in here and let's talk about finance.
Yeah. Sit down. Give me your wallet.
Let's go.
Give me that credit card. But Chris, you know, he likes to take things slow. He likes to have fun. And boy, for you and me, Ken, that is absolutely the way to go.
Oh, yeah.
Fun with your finance.
Right.
So let Chris help you get some tax efficient solutions so you can maintain. He always says this. He says, so you can maintain and have the lifestyle that you want and deserve.
Right.
And I think that's fair. We should get the lifestyle that we deserve.
We should.
So go to Chris. He'll help you out. He also has some books you can read. The newest one is called The New Holistic Retirement, and you can get it for free at SerenityNowTax.com. That's SerenityNowTax.com. Serenity Now with Chris Cooper.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors.
Serenity Now!
Chris Arps here, and after Becky and I leave church on Sunday, we head down the street to Capriotti's to grab a classic meatball sub. And of course, for dessert, I get a giant chocolate chip cookie. I love Capriotti's, and you will too.
On Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill.
This Memorial Day weekend, bring your crew to Busch Stadium to see the Cardinals take on the D-backs. May 23rd to the 25th, catch great promotions all weekend long, including a Mason Win bobblehead and a Kid City Connect jersey giveaway. Kick off your summer with ballpark hot dogs, ice-cold beers, and entertainment for the whole family. Tickets are available at Cardinals.com. This is how summer is meant to be. See you at the ballpark.
This is Alec Burleson, St. Louis Cardinals, for the Lou.
Catch a Cardinals game on your next date night or friends night out. Whether it's love in the stands or laughter with your crew, nothing beats ballpark vibes under the lights. Cold drinks, great eats, and Cardinals baseball. Check out Friday Night Live at Busch Stadium and enjoy happy hour price food and drinks all game long. Every Friday home game. Get your tickets today at Cardinals.com and make memories that go beyond the scoreboard. Busch Stadium, where great nights begin.
News Talk STL. Conservative talk for St. Louis.
It's your patriotic right and duty.
The government needs to step up and do its job.
This is News Talk STL.
It's well-balanced conversation.
News, analysis, opinion. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. The Vic Porcelli Show.
I have a theory. People talk loud when they want to act smart, right? Correct!
Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
Just going. Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
Okay. I was just going through some of the comments in the chat box that we'll do at the end of the show today. There's some great ones. Really, really great ones. And I will also say now, spoiler alert, some people agree with me.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
You and
That's unusual.
You and the secretary can bite it. You know, we're really lucky on this show because we get to talk to people like Jay Ashcroft every week, right?
Yeah.
Former Secretary of State, former Speaker of the House, Tim Jones, who also happens to be our handsome afternoon guy.
And they come back.
How about that?
Yeah.
I'm not sure the secretary will.
Well, he will.
Okay. If you missed it, all I was trying to say.
Well, wait a minute, I got it right here.
Oh, God.
It was Tony Colombo.
Wait. This is how fake news happens, all right? When this is the
I'm just reporting.
This is the genesis of how fake news happens.
Okay, so here I'm the Today Show. I'm just reporting, okay? Tony Colombo, program director of News Talk STL, in quotes texted me, said, I'm glad Donald Trump lost the 2020 election. Vic Porcelli, 2025.
Is that what I said?
Well, that's technically what you said.
No.
Well, okay.
You don't put it in quotes.
See,
and then
I'm
say
being
that's
the Today Show.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I'm the reporter. I am Peter Alexander of the Today Show. Is that not what you said, sir? Is that not what you said, sir?
It's not what I said. I said we need him now.
But I don't want to include that because then it'll steer people away from our narrative.
So then Tony went on to say, you're talking about Harvey Fierstein, not Harvey Weinstein.
Right.
Harvey Fierstein was the guy that said, I just want to be loved. Is that so wrong?
Is that so wrong?
That's a pretty good impression.
It is
by
pretty
the way.
good, yeah.
And then Tony said, right. You're glad Trump lost or right about Harvey? I think it's both. I'm going to kill him. I swear to God. When you find Tony Colombo in a pool of his own blood later on today, I did it. Well, he better not. He better not.
I know.
Pool of his own blood.
I know. You'd be in trouble.
All right. I'd like to go back to something we talked about already today, Ken, but I think it really warrants a little bit more discussion. And that's how everyone on the left made us think that Joe Biden was just fine during his presidency.
Yeah.
And he was not fine from day one.
I would say from day one. And there were doctors saying the same thing about the cancer thing.
Yeah. Do you know when his last prostate exam was?
I'm not his doctor, and I really don't want to get involved in that, but
2014.
Really?
So it's more than 11 years.
Wow.
Well, that is 11 years.
Actually, yeah.
So, because they okay. I have a phrase I used to use a lot. Stupid people by definition, because they're stupid, think everyone else is as stupid as they are.
Yes.
Did you get all that?
I got it.
Okay. So they think we're so stupid that we thought that Joe Biden was just diagnosed with cancer the day after the Her tapes were released. And then in that 48-hour period, it metastasized to his bones, right?
Right.
We didn't learn anything about cancer, about Joe Biden, until he was out of office. And I think knowing what the president, what his physical and health conditions are, is something we need to know.
But this is how morally corrupt and deceitful the Democrat Party is. And, we say that, and that's conjecture, and we say it all the time, and people think, they're just, they've got an opinion. But I believe that, and here's why.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't care about Joe Biden, the human being. Jill Biden, his wife, didn't care about Joe Biden, the human being. I mean, this man, apparently, they were hiding it for some reason. What was that reason, Vic? It was because they didn't want to lose the power. That's all it comes down to.
They were in such bad shape, Ken. If they had done the 25th Amendment and made Joe Biden step down, Kamala Harris would have been the president of the United States. And I can't even imagine what that would have been like.
I have a folder of like 90 different clips of Kamala Harris talking about things that when you hear any of them, you think to yourself, how could she even be a leader?
So as president, one of the first acts of business for me would be to get rid of these private detention centers and private prisons.
Yep. Also, Ken, can I do something on the fly here?
Yeah.
Can we do? I just got a letter.
Okay.
Is that? I know that I'm giving you like no time.
No.
To get that ready.
It's just that we haven't had it in a while.
I know, but I got one I definitely want to read, and it's actually a back and forth a little bit, which is kind of fun.
Okay.
You ready?
We just got a letter. We just got a letter. We just got a letter. Wonder who it's from.
It's from Sandra D.
Oh, okay.
Our favorite farmer. I think she's our favorite farmer.
I definitely think so.
And
she and Goat Lady Kibbs, I think.
Oh, absolutely. My God, I am so sorry, Heather. Both of you guys were just great. So it's from Sandra, and she said, when you said that about Kamala and because we're hold on. This is Palindrome Week. Shame on me for not celebrating Palindrome Week earlier in the week.
Yeah.
But every date this week are all palindromes. Every one of them. 5/23/25, 5/23/25, going backwards and frontwards. Palindrome.
Yeah, I was looking at that the other day, but I always add an O to the 5 because I do from my own organization.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's not a palindrome. But then I took the 0 off, 05, and it was.
Like the rest of America would.
Right.
So she said, when you said that, because yesterday we said, could you imagine if somebody told Kamala about a palindrome? Words that are spelled frontwards. I love palindromes.
Oh,
I keep them in my closet with my Venn diagrams. So Sandra says, when you said that about Kamala and palindromes, I was draining macaroni for lunch. I laughed so hard, I almost dropped the pot. I got to be more careful when I'm listening to you guys. So I wrote back, LOL. She goes, oh, yeah, you think it's funny. That's what she said. You think it's funny.
Right.
I could have scalded myself. If you guys are going to be funny, could you give us some kind of notice? I said, we'll try.
Right.
So there you go.
We just got a letter. We just got a letter. We just got a letter. Wonder who it's from.
All right. Thanks, Ken. Now, getting back to what we're talking about how they hid all of Biden's problems from us during his entire 4 years in office. You used 2 words, immoral and deceitful.
Yeah.
But I don't think those words are strong enough, because we're not talking about not knowing that the doorman at the Capitol or the White House had cancer or was sick or was mentally disabled or, dementia or anything like that. But the fact that the leader of the free world, I've been thinking about it in those terms because now they're showing, like Fox News shows all the crazy videos that when Joe was president, like Giorgia Meloni, the prime minister of Italy, had to pull him back into where he belonged.
Yeah.
When I go on stage, do I go off this way? Do I go off that way? And I'm like
shaking hands with air.
Ken, this is the leader of the free world.
Well, this and Vic, I know we talked about it, but this is one of the reasons why I think Jay Ashcroft believes that he should have been president in 2020. I'm just saying because I've got 13 names behind me that Joe Biden, had he not been involved in this would not have happened because Donald Trump, and I want to relitigate this because Donald Trump said, yes, we do have an exit plan from Afghanistan, but it will not be a date. It will not be a date like Joe Biden claimed. It will be when we decide to, and we're going to keep the air base and we're going to keep a military presence in Afghanistan for our own base. That's it. And so we're not going to be just running away. And that's what Joe Biden did.
And the left accused Donald Trump of negotiating with the Taliban. And the negotiation was he's sitting there, the head of the Taliban across the table from him, interpreter in the middle. And Donald Trump says, if you hurt one American, I will kill you. And the interpreter's eyes got big. And Trump said, tell him. So he told him. And then meanwhile, while he was telling him, Donald Trump pulls out a satellite photo of the house of the head of the Taliban, gives it to him, and walks out. Not another word said. That's how he was, in quote, negotiating with the Taliban. They're terrible people, I'm telling you.
Yeah, and you're talking about the Democrats.
Yes, the Democrats are terrible people. Okay. What do you want to do next?
And the Taliban.
Oh my God, we never played. Can we play Gutfeld when we get back?
Yeah.
Okay, Gutfeld has some great comments. Show's getting better and better, by the way. That's next on 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL, number one for live and local conservative talk.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. The Vic Porcelli Show.
Let's make America rock again.
It's Friday.
Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL. Colombo and Company.
Friday, we'll get you up to speed on all the important news heading into the holiday weekend with Gabe Pfeiffer, Ken Williams, and the weekend forecast from Channel 4's Steve Templeton.
Live and local weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
Hungry for the best steak you'll ever have? Head to the heart of Moscow Mills and discover Harry J's, a local landmark and family-owned steakhouse, serving up excellence since '98. From mouth-watering appetizers to decadent desserts, Harry J's has something for everyone. Enjoy our extensive bar selection while soaking in our friendly family atmosphere. Whether dine-in or carry-out, your meal is prepared to perfection. Make the drive to 300 Main Street and treat yourself to a taste of Moscow Mills' finest. Harry J's, more than a steakhouse. We're a tradition.
Is your retirement income at risk if you or your spouse needs nursing home or in-home care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money, Saturday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL 1019. The cost of long-term care is one of the biggest risks in retirement planning. For many retirees, a single nursing home stay can cause a significant reduction in assets that can permanently reduce your retirement income. Fortunately, there are affordable and flexible options available today that can help you manage the cost of long-term care. Our team can help you address the risks relevant to your retirement, including long-term care. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Springtime in St. Louis means one thing. That's right. Golf is back, baby. Sugar Creek Golf Course is located in High Ridge, just 10 minutes from 270 and Gravois. To book your tee time or to learn more about the special event and banquet facilities, simply visit sugarcreekgolfcourse.com.
Fox News commentary.
Would Don Jr. consider a run for the White House in 2028? I'm Tommy Lahren. Find out next.
Need life insurance but have diabetes, high blood pressure, or on anxiety meds? If you're a 50-year-old male, even porky, or with type 2 diabetes, $1 million of life insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. For affordable term life insurance, call Term Provider and speak with Big Lou at 800-444-2013, 800-444-2013, or visit biglou.com. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. 800-444-2013.
Has denied he would somehow seek re-election in 2028 after his 2 terms in the White House conclude. But what about his son, Don Jr.? At the Qatar Economic Forum, he was asked that very question, and his response wasn't necessarily definitive. He alluded to a calling one day. He followed up those comments on X by making it clear he has no intention of running in 2028 or anytime soon, but isn't ruling it out down the line. That is welcome news to many diehard Trump supporters who would love to see the Trump legacy and mega agenda live on. After all, the family is full of rising stars, including Don Jr., but also Eric, Ivanka, Laura, and even young Barron. While no one will ever be Donald J. Trump, I firmly believe the mega movement is here to stay, and I personally favor Marco Rubio or Ron DeSantis for 2028, but the good news is our bench is full of all-stars. The Democrats cannot say the same. Let's keep America great. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. The Vic Porcelli Show.
Keep your friends close, but your enemies close.
On Newstalk STL.
There's a huge hole in this narrative about Joe's decline. They're trying to present themselves as a loyal staff protecting an incapacitated leader, and yet the policies were anything but feeble. He may have been a mess, but the policies were a coherent list of woke desires. And true, the decisions may have possibly destroyed the country. But that wasn't a byproduct of Biden's brain. That was deliberate and determined, and we need to find out who that person was. This is what Trump is talking about when he's mentioned the auto pen. This isn't just about a cover-up of Joe's incapacity. It's why. A debilitated Biden was an ideal Biden. It wasn't a consequence, it was a benefit. If you have a feeble CEO, then the underlings can do exactly what they wanted. Wow. And it answers that huge paradox that we were wondering for 4 years. How did a candidate running as a reasonable centrist, a moderate, end up as the most left-wing progressive president in history? I just told you the answer. The debilitation was deliberate. And the ideas that we saw coming happened because of that. They embraced his infirmity. It was necessary for all this to happen. And now what they're trying to do is an emotional pivot away from our outrage to sympathy, and it won't work.
That's Greg Gutfeld from the 5 yesterday. And I'll tell you what, Greg, he really puts a lot of thought into monologues and things, you know.
So powerful.
Yeah, he really is. He's funny. He's smart. He's just a guy who believes in what we believe in, you know, and he's just got a better way of saying it than we do. Maybe he should come do the show.
Oh, he's okay. He's okay where he's at.
All right, good. You sure? I know we make a lot more money than he does.
No, you're okay. He's okay.
Oh, wait, what do you mean no? We don't make as much money as he does?
No.
I'll be damned. Those checks I've been writing myself probably aren't going to cash.
Nope.
I'm going to.
I just love the way he put everything into perspective for everyone. I mean, he took apart each one of those people. And I remember when he said that, I thought to myself, yeah, you know what? I remember working at a place when I was younger where the boss or the manager wasn't there. And what we did, basically we did whatever we wanted. We weren't very productive, and we just kind of took things as they were. And that's why I think we'll be very pissed off as an American collective if there aren't convictions over all this, because this has got to be so involved right now. This Biden administration had to be so involved in the ongoing things that they did on a day-to-day basis. It wasn't Joe Biden, Vic. We keep talking about Joe and everything, but it wasn't Joe Biden. We're finding out it was his people.
Here's a good example exactly of what you're saying. Jennifer Granholm. I know I bring her up a lot, but
you don't like her.
I don't like her face at all. she wanted to mandate us driving EVs. And then Joe would get in his Corvette, his combustible engine Corvette,
right,
and take a ride in his Corvette. So what you're saying is true, because if he really believed in the EV thing, he wouldn't be driving around in a Corvette.
No.
Is it a Corvette or is it a Mustang?
It was a Corvette.
Okay.
Yeah. But to a degree. But you also have to understand that, Democrats are elitists.
Mm-hmm.
They believe that, well, they can do it. Like when you have Gavin Newsom, he's at a restaurant during COVID. Well, he can do that because he's him.
Ken, I do not disagree with you. But don't you think that Jennifer Granholm went back and said, why is he being filmed driving a gas-powered car?
You're right. No, you're right about that.
You see what I'm saying?
I'm saying additionally, though.
So I think the big push for the EVs and stoves, what do you care about my stove? My stove is going to make the country and the world collapse because I'm using a gas-powered stove?
The more power that they have, the better. And they have power. When you have an electric stove, think about this. They did it in Canada. If you remember during COVID with the truckers, they had the power to turn things off.
Right.
Well, they had the power to turn that off. If your thermostat becomes all electric, no matter what, I'm saying where they can control it. I'm saying where it has Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, where they can control it somehow. They're going to control it. When they have digital currency, the CBDCs I always talk about, central bank digital currency, can never happen in this country. The day it happens, we are over. We are not a republic any longer.
Ken, we're not going to make pennies anymore.
Well, that part I get. I get that. That's okay. As long as they don't start saying, okay, now we're going to stop making dollars. And if they start that, I'm telling you, everybody, you better get out of the streets because it is over at that point.
This isn't the start of that?
I don't think so.
Pennies?
I thought about it. I personally don't think so.
Because on the Today Show, they did a little feature on not making pennies anymore.
Right. And it's 4 cents per penny to make.
Right. But the thing is, he says, because I said to my wife, I said, what if what you're paying for comes out to an odd number? And she's like, well, you got to round it up, I guess. So I lose those extra cents. Why doesn't the store round down?
Right.
And
that's what you should maybe suggest to them. I don't know.
And then he said, and of course you can always use plastic. You can always use your card.
And that's fine, Vic. Keep in mind now here that using your plastic, I don't use dollar bills unless I'm, I have them available, but I don't use them. I use all plastic all the time and I keep track of it. That's not digital currency.
Oh,
it is digital currency, but it's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about CBDC, central bank digital currency control, central bank control. That you having a card does not mean that.
Okay.
Like you could go to the bank right now with your plastic and you walk up to the bank teller and say, I want to withdraw all my money, my cash. They would say, oh, okay, here. But with central bank digital, you cannot do that.
Why?
Because there's nothing, it's not there. Where are you going to put it? On your card? Well, it's in the bank already.
Oh.
Okay. You're not physically holding on dollar bills at that point.
This is George Orwell, isn't it? Didn't I read this in 1984?
I'm just saying when they have that kind of control, man, they can turn it off. They can act in China, for example, the social credit scores that they have. You read up on this because it's getting more powerful every day. Read up on Chinese credit scores situation. They have control of withholding your money that you own, your money in your bank account. They can stop it and say, no, you're not allowed to pay for that because that is something we do not sanction.
Wow.
I know.
Let me ask you this. What's the difference between what you're saying and crypto?
Well, crypto's a completely different area.
Because you don't see that either.
No,
but it's not a central bank.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Exactly.
Oh my God.
In fact,
I got it.
In fact, crypto is completely the opposite of central bank.
Okay.
It's on its own independent. It can go anywhere it wants.
So a cashless society, I mean, you know what that's going to do to the stripper industry?
Probably. Well, no.
You can't Venmo money into the girl's
Yes, you can.
garter.
Yes, you can.
How?
What? Just the way you do it now, you can Venmo people.
No, sitting in a bar.
Yeah,
girls dancing.
Okay, so maybe they'll have one of those. What is that code thing called? The
QR code.
QR code. Okay, so maybe she's got a QR code stamped on her butt.
So, but then what about? And trust me, I do not go to strip bars. Okay, I do
No,
not.
We have before.
When?
Back in the day, long time ago.
Okay. You.
I was single.
Yeah.
And I was my birthday, actually.
My bachelor party, they brought me to a strip club. And we were there a half an hour, and I said, can we go play pinball instead? And we went to this there was a gigantic mansion of pinball machines in Pine Brook, New Jersey. We went there instead. I don't dig strip clubs. So I would assume that, what are you smiling about?
I'm thinking about the QR code stamped on her rear end.
But listen, where's the thrill in that for the guy, right? The thrill for the guy is putting the dollar in her belt or wherever you put it.
Oh, okay.
See what I'm saying?
From that perspective, yeah.
Hey, baby, Venmo me, honey. You know, where's the fun in that?
Here, look.
When you Venmo, I don't even know how to Venmo. You want to know the truth? I don't even know how to do that. But if you Venmo, is there also a place for a little message besides sending the money?
Oh, yeah. In fact, you're required to give a message of some kind, like what it's for. So you would say something like school books.
So if you're
for Portia,
if you're a guy and you go to strip clubs, but you don't want your wife to know, and it turns into a Venmo thing, you are screwed.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
you're big trouble.
Who is Star Baby? Huh? Who's Star Baby?
Star Baby.
That's your Venmoing money to.
Star Baby.
And you say, hey baby, who's that? I was just name out of my head, Star Baby. That's a good name for a stripper.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. Any strippers out there listening, if you want to use that name,
go ahead.
Go right ahead.
He does not have it copyrighted.
We will give it to you for free. How did we get here? Oh, the pennies.
I don't know.
So the pennies.
Yeah.
So other things in a cashless society, when you go right now, at least, when you go to buy into a poker tournament, you put down cash.
You do. That's required.
That it's cash?
Yeah.
Yeah. There is no other way.
Okay.
You can't bring a credit card and say, here, put it on my card.
Oh, okay.
If you're into if you're getting into a tournament that's $300 tournament, you put down $300 bills, and that's that.
Well, I mean, that's why we shouldn't go near that. We should not go near CBDCs.
I agree.
I'm just saying.
But you said you never carry money. You always use plastic.
But that's
you can't play poker.
Well, if I was going to go to a place to play poker, I'd take money.
Then you do.
I'd go to my bank and I'd say, "Hey guys, can I withdraw this?" And they'd say, "Yeah, sure, here."
What about when you go to the strip club?
They'd say, "I don't go."
Oh.
I've been married for what, 28 years?
I've been married for 37 years.
Okay.
Star Baby. That's the stripper.
That's
my favorite stripper.
I said Portia earlier.
Oh, Portia's good.
That's kind of what. Yeah.
Did I miss that? I'm sorry.
Yeah, you did.
Or
Diamond.
Portia Diamond.
Oh,
Portia first name, Diamond last name. Man, that
she's
Portia
Diamond. Wow.
This show has gone off the
rails. It's
Friday.
We do have an excuse. I mean, come on.
But anyway,
one day a week.
Getting back
It's
to
Friday.
It's no excuse.
Come on, please.
No, it's no excuse. But the pennies, I don't know why this bothers me, because what about people who collect coins, right?
Yeah.
If you collect coins, you know that a 1909 SVDB penny is worth a ton of money.
Well, now it's going to be worth more because there won't be so many of them.
But then I agree. But now what about that penny? Why would somebody pay a lot for a penny that's not going to be worth anything because it's a penny and they're getting rid of pennies?
What's the rarity of it? It's actually not even
It's
about
not currency anymore.
Yeah, it's not even about the penny itself. It's about the rarity of the
entity.
item. Yeah. Because I remember on that thing you're talking about, the Today Show did, because we watch it so you don't have to. They were actually showing the original pennies, and they had the one with the Liberty lady. It was called a hair penny.
Indian head penny, I think, was first.
Oh, was it?
Yep.
Well, there was a hair penny because of her hair blowing, Lady Liberty.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting.
I think
those were real valuable.
Yeah, I think those were dimes, the Liberty dimes. But that's okay.
Okay.
While we're on coins, I swear to God, I hate everything that we do as Americans. I really do. It used to be a finite face on coins. Lincoln was on the penny. Jefferson was on the nickel. FDR was on the dime. Washington was on the quarter. JFK, I believe, was on the $50, and Eisenhower was on the silver dollar. That was it. It was always a great. You know what it was great for? The missing ingredient we used to play at the river. I would say all those presidents' names, and then I would say, what's the missing ingredient? I have to say, Abraham Lincoln. So another thing is, I have all my children trained whenever they get pennies back in change to look to see if it's a wheat penny.
Oh yeah,
because there's a wheat penny, and then there was one with the Lincoln Memorial on the back.
Right.
And they stopped making the wheat pennies and made the Washington Memorial pennies, but that's why the wheat pennies are always more in demand.
Yeah. When did they stop making the wheat penny? I used to know this because I didn't collect them, but I would see when I'd be like, wow, look at this one. And they'd say, yeah.
I think, I don't know, Ken.
I'll look it up. That's okay. That's all right.
I think I'm going to guess about the time I was born, actually, about 58, 59, somewhere around there. And so we always check the wheat pennies, and we have this little, like the old ladies, they have that little change thing. It's like a little purse.
Oh, yeah.
And you put your stuff in there.
Yeah.
We have one of those at home. We put all the wheat pennies in. And there could be, who knows how valuable some of these pennies are.
So you could have a really rare one. You won't even know it.
Right now, we won't know it.
Yeah. And it's going to be even more rare coming up.
Yeah. So I don't know. How do you feel about the pennies? Do you feel that way? Let us know in the chat box.
Yeah, that'd be good because we'll be talking about the chat box coming up here. So
And next, right?
no.
Yeah. No, not next. Ken Abramowitz is next.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm not sure I am for a cashless society. That's all I want to say.
Well, I'm not for a cashless society. That's CBDCs again. We should not stay we should stay way
Does it
far.
have to be that? Does it have to go all the way to the level of CBDC? Can't it just be a cashless society? Sorry, we only take credit cards.
I'm just saying if we start going to that point to where they're saying, hey, we're going to go to a central bank situation, all digital CBDC.
Okay.
Then you should be protesting in the streets about that. I mean, because it's over, guys. I'm just telling you, that happens. It is one stretch away from 1984 and beyond.
Yeah. I mean, even like if you're somebody's godfather, right? I remember my goddaughter, who I don't get to see anymore, her name's Stephanie. Every time I saw her, I was like, I'd always give her like $20 here. Put this in your pocket. Don't tell anybody.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do now? Here, let me Venmo you. I'll Venmo you $20. You know what I mean?
Right.
Everything's so, I don't know.
No, it's easier for me with my daughters because they're out of town and they're in college and in National Park. And hey, do you need a little extra money? Sure. Venmo, boom, done. It's nice.
What about? I forgot her name. What was the name I gave her?
Portia Diamond. Oh no, Star Baby.
Star Baby. All right, we'll be right back to talk to Ken Abramowitz on News Talk STL. Welcome home.
Whoosh.
Military history buffs and collectors, attention. Looking for authentic military collectibles? Look no further than Alamo Military Collectibles, your one-stop shop for genuine military artifacts, firearms to uniforms, medals to memorabilia, pistols, rifles, bayonets, insignia, patches, helmets, field gear, and more. Both American and foreign pieces. We offer cash or consignment for your items. Alamo Military Collectibles. Visit us online at alamomilitary.com or call 314-638-6505 today.
Attention reptile lovers, ready to discover your next scaly friend? Welcome to the Show Me Reptile Shop, your ultimate destination for fascinating reptiles and exotic pets, with 3 convenient locations in Troy, St. Peters, and Springfield. We have an amazing selection of snakes, lizards, turtles, and more. Whether you're a seasoned herpetologist or a curious beginner, we've got the perfect pet waiting for you. Show Me Reptile Shop. Visit us in Troy, St. Peters, or Springfield, and online at showmereptileshow.com.
Experience the true flavors of Mexico at Dos Primos, O'Fallon's premier Mexican restaurant. From sizzling fajitas to homemade caldo de pollo, every dish is crafted with the freshest ingredients and traditional recipes, all made fresh daily in our kitchen. Cool down with our famous margaritas or your favorite cerveza, while our friendly staff makes you feel like family. Dine in or carry out. Visit DosPrimosMexicanRestaurant.com or find us on North Main in O'Fallon.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewstalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu's office says he's shocked by the horrific anti-Semitic shooting that took place in Washington this week. At a news conference, U.S. Attorney Janine Pirro says the suspect has been charged. The murders of Yoram Lachinsky and Sarah Milgram.
We're going to continue to investigate this as a hate crime and a crime of terrorism.
and we will add additional charges as the evidence warrants.
Police have identified the detained shooting suspect as 31-year-old Elias Rodriguez of Chicago. The American woman and Israeli man had just left an event at a Jewish museum. They were set to become engaged. Also at townhall.com, the fifth round of talks between Iran and the U.S. over Tehran's nuclear program have taken place in Rome. Iran's enrichment of uranium has emerged as a key issue in these talks. They're trying to find middle ground between American demands that Iran stop enriching uranium while Tehran insists its program must continue. A senior Ukrainian official says a major exchange of prisoners is now taking place between Russia and Ukraine. The swap, one of the few signs of progress from their direct talks last week in Istanbul. Harvard University suing the Trump administration over its ban on enrolling foreign students. White House correspondent Greg Clugston with that report.
In the lawsuit, Harvard is challenging the government's decision to bar it from enrolling foreign students, saying the action violates the First Amendment and Due Process Clause. The Ivy League school says the prohibition is an unconstitutional retaliation for defying the White House's political demands. About a quarter of Harvard's students are from foreign countries. The Trump administration alleges that the school has created an unsafe campus environment for Jewish students. Greg Clugston, Washington.
More on these stories at townhall.com.
Mike Gallagher here, host of the Mike Gallagher Show. If you know me, you know I only put my name behind people and companies I trust. When it comes to mortgages, I trust Mike and Brian at Fellowship Home Loans. They're not just friends. They've done loans for me, my family. I've seen firsthand how they treat every client like their family. And these days, that personal touch really matters. With the cost of everything up, you might be looking for ways to free up cash. Maybe you're thinking about a cash-out refi or HELOC to finish some home projects, consolidate debt, or just get ahead financially. Fellowship is a full-service direct lender, not a broker. They cut out the middleman. That means faster decisions, fewer fees, and less stress. Whether you're buying your first home, downsizing, or refinancing to get some breathing room, they'll tailor fit the loan to your life. Get started at fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G, fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G, or call 800-510-MIKE, 800-510-6453. Fellowship Home Loans, mortgage lending by the book.
Nationwide Mortgage Bankers, DBA Fellowship Home Loans, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS number 819382.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airways for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 2 times every weekend on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. You could also reach Doug at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
Concerned about the condition of your windows driving up your energy bills? I was too. It's only called STL Windows and Doors. Their Provia windows combine old world craftsmanship the professional way, the Provia way, with over 65 years of combined experience, locally owned, offering competitive pricing and personalized service that the big box companies can't match. Call today for your free in-home estimate and start saving tomorrow. 314-277-5952 or stlwindowsanddoors.com.
Tony Colombo here for my dentist, Dr. Matt Boscia at New Creation Dental Care, the one-stop shop for all your family's dental needs. And Dr. Boscia is always expanding his services, now including the incredible all-on-4 full arch implant procedure, full mouth restoration that can give you back your smile in as little as 1 day. No more suffering with damaged or missing teeth or poor-fitting dentures. You can see some amazing smile makeovers, learn more about the all-on-4 procedure, and see everything Dr. Boscia can do right now at newcreationdentalcare.com. Hey, Tony Colombo here, inviting you to the Bluff City Outdoors Show Fishing Pentathlon, a one-of-a-kind multi-species fishing tournament Sunday, June 8th at Carlisle Lake. There'll be several side pods, but to win, your team has to catch all 5 species of fish with the highest total weight. This unique tournament gives fishermen of all levels a chance to walk away a winner. Get more info and reserve your spot now by going to BluffCityOutdoors.com and searching tournament entry, or just go to the events tab on the Bluff City Outdoors Facebook page. The Fishing Pentathlon, brought to you by Great Harvest Bread Company in Maplewood.
This hour, the Vic Porcelli Show, brought to you by the Trolley Stop Bakery, the official bakery of the Vic Porcelli Show.
From New Jersey to Baldwin, Missouri, to behind the microphone, taking the whoosh to the radical left and the putrid swamp. You're listening to the Vic Porcelli Show. Here he is, Vic Porcelli.
Cutesy time is indeed over. Hour number 3 of our 3-hour tour. Thanks to Ken Williams. Ken, the terrible murder of 2 innocent embassy staffers. Have you seen their pictures, by the way? Have you seen their photos?
Yeah.
2 young kids in love, going to be engaged, going to be married, shot down, and their lives taken from them. So if you are a representative, U.S. representative in this country, you should have some sort of patriotic response to this, right?
Right.
Well, Ilhan Omar was asked about it, and here's what happened.
Congresswoman Omar, can I get your reaction to the shooting that happened in D.C. last night?
I'm going to go for now.
I'm going to go for now.
What
Boy,
does that mean?
Can there be
by the
anything
way?
more insensitive than
I'm going to go for now. I'm not going to answer you.
you couldn't stop and say, "Oh God, that was terrible," and then get in the car?
Right.
Anything.
Well, she got hit so hard on social media. She finally put out a post saying, "My heart goes out to the family." Okay, a little late.
Too late. You can't make mistakes and then correct them and say, "Oh, wow, you're a great person."
No.
All right, let's talk about that and other things. The book, The Multifront War, Defending America from Political Islam, China, Russia, Pandemics, and Racial Strife. The author is Ken Abramowitz. He joins us now. Ken, thanks for being with us.
Sure, happy to be with you.
So Representative Omar says, "Oh, I'm going to go now."
Pretty bad.
Pretty bad.
Yeah. Well, she has no empathy, which is typical of enemies of America. I mean, enemies of America are inside our country to destroy the country, not to empathize with the real Americans. So she's not a real American. And that's how she behaves.
All right, I got to tell you, I got to be honest with you. I want to be fully transparent here. I learned a new phrase in the last 10 minutes, blood libels. Netanyahu says this is blood libels against Israel. What's your thoughts on that?
Look, Jews have been victims of blood libels for ever and ever. So what happens is the enemies of the Jews, who, by the way, are also enemies of the Christians, but they're focused on the Jews now because Jews are only 2% of America. Christians are roughly 90% of America. So Jews are like low-hanging fruit to enemies of America. So they're going after the Jews now. So what they do is they invent lies, and then with the power of the media and social media, they make the lies, embellish on the lies, and then people hear the lies and get angry, and then someone takes a knife out or a gun or an axe and then acts on the basis of this false narrative. So these are called blood libels. When someone, it's cultural terrorism that leads to physical terror, and it shows one of the reasons we cannot allow cultural terror or false narratives or blood libels is because it leads to the death of somebody.
So can you just mention that the media supports that? They promote it. They help the narrative to move along. Why would they do something like that? That's so horrible.
Because there's so much corruption in the society. I mean, one of the big issues is Israel was the victim of a genocide on October 7th of 2023, 1,200 Israelis massacred. Then when Israel goes into Gaza to fight back and defend itself, they accuse Israel of genocide. You go, can you imagine if we were living in World War II in 1941 and I told you American soldiers fighting in Europe, it's genocide. They're killing Germans. It's terrible. Or they're killing Japanese. You say, excuse me, remember Pearl Harbor?
Right.
Oh, I don't remember Pearl Harbor. Why are we committing genocide against the Japanese? Well, in those days, the media was honest because it was run by real Americans.
Huh.
Now our media is half taken over by our enemies, and therefore they're spewing the false narrative of our enemies.
Boy, you're right. I mean, the media is just a mess right now, and they're not trusted, and they wonder why. You know, maybe they can just be objective once in a while. We're talking to Ken Abramowitz. He is the founder of the website SaveTheWest.com. I got a question for you, Ken, because you mentioned that Jews are only 2% of America. Was that America or the world? America?
America.
Okay, so
way less than 1% of the world.
Okay, so
2% of America.
If Jews are only 2% of America, why don't they have the benefit of minority status like other minorities?
Right.
Well, one of the hallmarks of Western civilization, which is just a fancy term for democracy, is that everybody has rights. I don't care if you're the majority or the minority. We have the right, we the people, all Americans, I don't care what flavor you are, we have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness,
Right.
as dictated, of course, in our Declaration of Independence. So we believe that. But the bad guys believe in life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness for 10% of the people.
Right.
Namely, me, and my family, and my friends. I don't care about you, and you don't have any rights because I'm a dictator, and I want to take over and run America, and I don't care about the other 90%. I just want to steal their money.
Right.
And so that's the difference between a democracy, which cares for everybody, and a dictatorship, which only cares for the elites. So you could say we're in a battle between we the people and they the elites. And so they the elites set their own rules, and their rules aren't fair, but their rules are designed to favor the 10% elites, not the other 90% of the population.
You know, we have as a guest every week on the show a Jewish woman named Karen Cataline. She's brilliant, she's funny, she's smart. And she put a post up yesterday, actually, about these two kids who were murdered in front of the embassy in D.C. And she said Kristallnacht has already come to America. What do you think about that statement?
Yes, that was in I believe, 1938. The Germans basically let thugs, and basically it was blood libel, that the Jews are evil, spreading disease, they're destroying our country, and we have to save ourselves. And that cultural terror, which then led to physical terror when the authorities basically said you can destroy all the Jewish businesses that you can find, and Jews too. And it basically was a hunting season against Jews for a few days. That's a good example of a society out of control, a government out of control, a dictatorship. Remember, life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness for 10% of the people, and they declared war on the Jews. So this is part of Jewish history, and there were many pogroms, which was basically Kristallnacht was a big pogrom where throughout the Russian territories in the 1800s, they invented a reason to go after the Jews, and they did it. And by the it was blood libel, and then what they did is they used it as an excuse to steal property. You know, one of the problems you have is you know, when you pretend you're driving through some very nice section of town, and there's houses that are much bigger than your house. And I say to you, oh, you know why that house is bigger than you? They stole the money from you. They're evil. They're criminals. They're Jews, or they're Christians, or Hindus, whatever segment of the population I want to identify. And you can go kill them. It's okay. You can kill them. And by the way, you can steal their house because they stole that money from you. There's always a segment of the population that listens to nonsense like that. Yep. And says, oh, really? I can go kill them and take their house? Okay, I'll never live in a house like that anyways, other than if I steal it from them. Oh, thank you very much, corrupt government, for inducing me to do that. And so that happens throughout history, and it's people are very easily manipulated is basically the net of it.
And we're talking with author Ken Abramowitz. And Ken, we have a thing here on the Vic Porcelli Show it's an acronym called EDSTOID. Everything Democrats say the opposite is true. And it becomes more clear because you mentioned Kristallnacht in 38, and it immediately reminded me when you said it was open season on killing Jews, the attacks that were on those school campuses recently within this last year. That could have grown to become out of control if it would have been allowed. Okay. And so it was really, really similar. Don't you think?
Yes, and it was out of control for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And the Biden administration didn't do much about it. And so that's a good example of a failed government. And now, who was financing these protests? Well, what happened is when Hamas, which is part of the Muslim Brotherhood, which is financed by Qatar and by Iran, and under the watchful eyes of Russia and China, declared war on Israel. The next day, Israel responded, like any other country, responded and fought back. So then what the very clever, evil people in the Muslim Brotherhood did is they flipped the switch, the script. So they accused Israel of genocide, accused Israel of beating up poor defenseless citizens of Gaza. And then they sent their agents the next day in America, who were already in America. They activated them, and they had their signs and their tents, and they were all prepared. And they started criticizing Israel for defending itself and blaming Israel for genocide. Very clever. That's how they flipped the script, just as you mentioned with Democrats. And then you get half the people believe it.
Yep.
And the administrators did nothing. The president did nothing. This was a declaration of war against Jews. But bear in mind, the bad guys are after the Christians. The Jews are just the appetizers. The Jews are just in the way.
Yeah, you're right.
But the society doesn't perceive that, and therefore they say, well, they're just acting out. No, this is criminal activity. This was well-designed criminal activity, and all those students should have been in jail the next day. The ringleaders should have been rounded up. They should still be in jail, or they should be deported. America did not have the proper response to our equivalent of crystal meth.
All right, so we're talking to Ken Abramowitz, and I want to take some pages right out of your book. Ken, the book is called The Multifront War, Defending America from Political Islam, China, Russia, Pandemics, and Racial Strife. Out of those five things, which is our biggest enemy?
Well, the biggest enemy is all of the above. Bear in mind, think of yourself as a juggler. I don't know how to juggle, but pretend that you do. And you're juggling 5 balls, and each of them are named with each of the issues that you just mentioned. And I say to you, Mr. Juggler, you're juggling 5 balls. Which of the 5 balls is most important? You would say to me, excuse me, I'm a juggler. I juggle balls. They're all important. I'm paid to juggle 5 balls at the same time.
Right.
So that's the thesis of the book. Is the number one challenge is the challenge of confronting all of our problems simultaneously, and because it overwhelms the circuits. Right? Imagine I've identified that America is fighting 100 wars simultaneously right now, or 100 challenges or dilemmas, if you want to prefer those words. And again, pretending you're a juggler juggling 100 things, you can see how it just overloads the circuits. It's just not humanly possible to juggle 100 issues at the same time.
All right. So in your book, I think the most frightening line is the United States is wholly unprepared to fight a unified battle. I don't think anybody wants to hear that, but if that's the truth, then let's go.
Well, look at what happened to little Israel. Israel's in the same boat. Israel's just a smaller version of America. But on October 7th, Israel was attacked on multiple fronts and was unprepared. They were in an October 6th mentality, which I call fat, dumb, and happy. And then all of a sudden, all hell broke loose. And for 2 days, the government didn't function and the army didn't function because they were just overwhelmed with crisis. America has an October 6th mentality. In other words, or Pearl Harbor.
9/11, or Pearl Harbor, right? Even better.
Yeah. That's right. The day before, everyone's fat, dumb, and happy because people want to be fat, dumb, and happy. And I don't blame people for wanting to be fat, dumb, and happy. But when you're confronted with your enemy and you can't avoid it anymore, you then have to move to a war footing.
And then
Israel now.
Go ahead, sir.
Just Israel's on a war footing. I want America to be on a war footing, not because I want wars, but because the bad guys are competing with us and angling for us in so many different directions. We have to manage ourselves as if we're in World War III right now, and that we haven't moved to that stage.
And that's why this is so important for Israel, because if you compare the sizes of Israel versus the United States and what happened on October 7th, think about it this way. 9/11, there were nearly 3,000 people lost, Americans, okay? compare the sizes of Israel and the United States. It's equivalent on October 7th of America losing 28,000 people. And that's imagining that in America would be devastating. So that's what we're dealing with here.
That's right. And that's a trauma that Israel's never going to forget. So Israel's going to be on a war footing forever. Even future generations will it's like remember the Alamo, remember the Alamo. But I must say, 200 years after the Alamo, 150 years after the Alamo, walk down the street and interview 10 pedestrians at random and say, Mr. Pedestrian number 3, you remember the Alamo? I mean, someday I'll actually do that. It'd probably be fun to see how many of the 10 pedestrians say, oh yeah, I remember the Alamo.
Yeah, right.
So you have to, when the countries have history, you have to reiterate that history. You have to memorialize it. You have to. We have Memorial Day coming up. We have to treat Memorial Day with much more honor than we do. Most Americans say, "Oh, it's Memorial Day, great. Oh, there's a sale, at the shopping center. Let's go." People died to save. The reason why we're living is people died on our behalf. We have to honor them. And just going to shopping to get a 10% discount is no way to honor those brave soldiers who protected us over the time.
All right, Ken, we're kind of out of time here, but I do want to say one thing. Because you said that Israel was fat, dumb, and happy before October 7th. America was fat, dumb, and happy before Pearl Harbor, before 9/11. And I guess what bugs me is we have the right to be fat, dumb, and happy. We shouldn't have to worry about people attacking us. We can just be fat, dumb, and happy whenever we want to, right?
Well, yes, but my argument is the bad guys are taking over our universities. They're taking over our schools. They're taking over our media, our social media. They're taking over our culture. So that's not, I call it war, but things don't blow up. So a typical American says, well, that doesn't sound like war because something didn't blow up.
Right.
The point of my book is don't wait for something to blow up to realize you're in a war.
And that's great advice. Absolutely great advice. Ken Abramowitz, he is the author of the book, The Multifront War, Defending America from Political Islam, China, Russia, Pandemics, and the Racial Strife. Also go to SaveTheWest.com. Very informative, very important. Ken, thanks so much for being with us.
A pleasure to be with you anytime.
Take care, Ken.
It's hard for me to pay attention when you're playing Spilled Wine with Eric Burden, man.
It's from War, I figure,
Okay. Do you know what I'm saying there? I'm not trying to say we shouldn't be prepared.
No. I understand the idea.
We should be able to live peacefully is what I'm saying.
And what he's saying is there always needs to be vigilance and thought. And Vic, you know what? Wood looks like wood until the rot from inside goes all the way out to the outside, and by then it's too late.
Oh, it's not Ken.
I know, but
Being
it's
all
true.
profound
It's stuff.
By the way, my next door neighbor Bill said to me yesterday, "Still got a job?"
That's great.
I said, "Yeah."
Why?
I said, "Did you hear that?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "On the radio or on the app?" He was like, "Oh, on the app." So you hit that button in time.
Oh, I did within 2 seconds. Yeah.
Okay.
I hit it.
Okay. Just asking. Chat box is next on 1019-94.1 News Talk STL. Welcome home. This really blew my mind.
There I was. Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. You're listening to the Vic Porcelli Show.
I stood high on a mountain top.
As President Lincoln said,
What, do you have a cough due to cold? This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and NewstalkSTL.com. This is 1019 and 94.1.
Millennial Trump supporter. I listen to it like every day. Like, seriously, you get it.
News Talk STL.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on NewstalkSTL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Hey, DIY warriors, ready to transform your outdoor space? Start with Lee May Concrete Block, St. Louis's trusted family-owned manufacturer since 1947. Whether you're building a retaining wall, creating a backyard fireplace, or pouring concrete, Lee May's got you covered. From compact blocks to large cast concrete, they provide materials and professional guidance to bring your vision to life. Military and first responders get special discounts. Visit Lee May Block Showroom or LeeMayBlock.com. Lee May Block, building your dream one block at a time.
Hi, Kirk Hilsinger here, and I'm the new chairman of the St. Louis Republican Central Committee. I invite you to our meetings that take place the first Thursday of every month at 3710 Hampton Avenue. You can stay connected with us to learn more about how you can get involved, make your voice heard, and contribute to our shared goals. Together, we can make a difference in the city of St. Louis and the state of Missouri. For more info, visit our new website at stl-gop.com. That's stl-gop.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
Is your pup in need of a spa day? At Pretty Little Paws, we believe grooming should be a stress-free, tail-wagging experience. Our one-on-one, fear-free grooming ensures your furry friend gets the gentle, personalized care they deserve. No noisy kennels or long waits, just love, patience, and expert grooming in a calm, relaxing environment. Because a happy pup means a happy you. Pretty Little Paws, with 2 locations in O'Fallon and St. Peters. Visit us online at prettylittlepawsgrooming.com.
Free speech is alive and well in America right here.
It's about time somebody stood up for true American values.
What this country needs is some backbone.
Finally, a president who wants to make real change.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
I was lying on the grass a Sunday morning of last week.
Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. The Vic Porcelli Show.
Tough and smart, and I love Italian, so he's definitely Italian.
On News Talk STL.
Boy, this is a 101 The River song, huh?
It is,
Oh,
man.
cow.
Love it.
So very quickly, before we get into the chat box, when Ken and I worked at 101.1 The River, our enemy was
Y98 FM. That was my radio voice, by the way.
A certain person's radio voice.
Yeah,
which I
yeah.
love. So our enemy was Y98. So there was a time when they were completely mirroring us musically, right? Don't thundersteel me. You hear me?
I'm not. I shut up.
So it basically musically was all the same songs, and we used to beat them in the ratings all the time. Now, why was that? That's because of us. We were the cooler DJs. We were the more fun DJs, and that's why we won.
And we didn't have radio voices, I guess, if you could break it down like that. Because
28 degrees Y98 FM.
How are you? It's so from Y98 FM.
Okay, let's go before we get in trouble. Which I'm sure we're already in trouble.
I know.
But I haven't said anything bad today. That was the first time ever, by the way, I ever said that word on the air. I just want you to know.
What word?
Well, thanks. Fudge. All right, here we go. Ed started in first. I won.
Me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. No fair elections.
No peace.
No fair tariffs.
No peace.
Good morning, all you beautiful MAGA, ultra-patriotic, deplorable, garbage, degenerate, freedom-fighting, God-fearing, Vic Head weirdos.
Wow. You did it. You done it.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. Why do they always have to build new stadiums? Keep the ones you have to improve it. Oh, want proof? Wrigley Field, Fenway Park.
Wow, you can't argue with that. I was just going to argue with that. I here's what I was going to say, because back in the day when I drew the card for the old Busch Stadium, I drew that for the Salvation Army.
Yeah.
But anyway, they would say, well, we need to get a new stadium because it costs $12 million a year to maintain this.
Huh.
But you know what?
Something about tradition, huh?
I can't argue with that.
Something about not having a pitch count and not putting a guy on second base
Oh, my God.
at the beginning. Like, they've ruined baseball. I swear to God.
Yeah.
I've never been more
upset
betrayed
about. Yeah, I know.
than this.
I grew up with it.
Taxpayers should never fund stadiums. Let's build housings for veterans before we build a stadium.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, Vic, you're now 8 episodes into Mobland. Which mob is worse, the Italian mob, the English mob, or the Irish mob? Well, it's going to sound crazy, but the Irish mob, they go after your wife. They go after your kids. They don't care, you know? So to answer your question, Don, I'm going to have to say the Irish mob is worse because at least the Italian mob would try to not hurt or kill innocents.
Yeah. Try.
So all you can do is try, right?
Right.
I'm just so tired of libturd fools. It's so exhausting. It really is. They're very exhausting.
Oh, yeah.
Listening to them talk, listening to the things they do. The animation of Miller and his mouth moving is just so eerily reminiscent of Max Headroom.
Oh, yeah.
A little bit. It's not too early. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. You bet your ass. Here's a new segment. The segment's called That's a Crock. And then we play Jasmine Crockett. That's a Crockett. Yes, Ed. Harvey Feinstein. I just want to be loved. Is that so long? Weather
I need to get that, by the way.
That him saying that?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Actually, he never said it. You got to get John Lovett saying
Well,
it.
yeah, actually, yeah.
Weather predictions is big business. All sorts of industries pay for weather services. Farmers have apps with weather info 24/7. You know who didn't follow weather? The idiot in charge of emergency services.
I mean, we offer free weather here.
We squeeze in a dry hump day
Right,
under
you could've
partly sunny skies.
Dry humped any day that week. The idiot in charge of emergency services wasn't by the button. It literally, you had one job.
Your job.
Right? You had one job.
Yeah.
So that was a story, and Ed says, yeah, that's absolutely correct. There was a story that they scrubbed them's data soon after the failure. Her pronouns were taken off her profile on this.
Okay, now just think about that. Why would they do that?
Right.
If there's nothing wrong with it,
right?
Why would they do it?
Why are you trying to hide it? But if that SEMA employee was a conservative, oh my God, Katie, bar the door. No. I disagree with the secretary. If Trump was reelected, we might have Pence as president.
See, that's a great part of that argument.
And the deep state would be continuing. No Doge ever.
Right, and see, that's my argument is that if America didn't see how far the Democrats were going, which they wouldn't have had Trump been elected in 2020, then we wouldn't have what we have today.
This is great.
They wouldn't have given. First of all, the thing about Pence that overrules everything.
I disagree with the secretary. There's another comment. Agree with Ed Stoit. This time, President Trump has a better, more loyal team, and he's going after the deep state. He's got a strong legal team. They all fight. What? I get no credit. I was the person who said palindromes are Cammie Harris' second favorite to Venn diagram. Okay. What, you want a plaque? Can you make a plaque for Ed Stoit?
Absolutely.
He said the palindromes and Venn diagrams first. You're right. You get credit for writing. Vic and Ken get credit for the presentation.
Thank you. That's fair.
Kind of like Song of the Year and the Grammys, right?
Exactly. The writer gets all the money.
And not all the money, but
most of it.
Well, it's two different awards. Record of the Year is who wrote it. Song of the Year is who wrote it.
Right.
Record of the Year is who performed it.
Correct.
Sometimes it's different people.
Yes. And so Ed Stoit gets all the money.
No. Childless Cat Lady gets some too.
Oh, okay. Well, she should have some.
You are killing me today. Jennifer Granholm.
Be cool, honey bunny. Be cool.
Jennifer Granholm was one of those she, they, them libturds with resting bitch face.
That's it. I have that.
Ed's got a. Did you ever see the GIF of the cat on the keyboard?
Oh, I love that.
Crazy?
I love that one.
He says, "Is this you, childless cat lady?"
You're mocking me, aren't you?
I'm 100% against the cashless society. I don't want a cashless society. In my business, we use a payroll service, and today my employees' checks were not direct deposited, so they aren't paid at this point. Now we have to get them paid. I'm not doing that for you. The payroll company told me this morning, oops, now they're in frantically trying to get emergency deposits. And it's Friday. Taking a whoosh to the radical left.
Whoosh.
Omar is a scumbag piece of shh.
stuff.
Thank you.
I want to be clear.
Omar needs to be investigated now, just like they did President Trump. Hey, Pam, get digging, will you? I think she should be investigated.
Yeah, if they're doing something wrong, they need to be investigated. If they really are found corrupt, they need to be put in jail.
I'd just be happy to see her scum ass deported permanently. Certain minority groups want special rights. They don't want equal rights. Yeah, but don't miss my point there. I'm just saying there's only 2% of the population is Jewish. That's less than blacks. And blacks are a minority in this country. And,
yeah, right.
And Jews aren't. Omar needs to be back. How does that?
Well, the thing about Omar, though, I stick on a second. She actually did a speech in Somali language in front of thousands of people who were Somali, saying that she hopes in her heart of hearts that she wants to go back to Somali and raise her family. Okay, go now.
Jews are a minority in the United States, but I don't include them in the above scumbag minority groups. Vic, being fat, dumb, and happy is what got us to where we are today. And I get it. I'm just saying we have that right to be peaceful and fat and dumb and happy.
I think your terminology is different than it should be. It's we have the right to be peaceful. We have the right to express ourselves peacefully.
That was kind of Abramowitz's word, not mine.
No, I know he said it, but I don't think the terminology is correct. I think what we're saying is we have the right to be free to do what we need to do and what we want to do.
Yep.
If you want to be fat and happy, you go for it.
What your guest described is right out of the Alinsky playbook implemented by Obama, create chaos. And boy.
Yeah.
And he did that all right, Ed.
And then what did Rahm Emanuel say?
Never let a crisis go to waste.
Right.
Did I hear thunder? Ken almost stole it.
Almost.
Until you said, Ken, don't you dare. I felt the storm coming over the horizon. Have a blessed day, everyone. Remember those who gave all in service this coming Monday. Yes. And by the way, would it kill you? Would it kill you to hit the like button, for God's sakes? Okay. Good morning, Vic Heads. It's Friday. Happy Friday, gents and fellow Vic Heads. Have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. Remember those who gave all so we can be free. And thank you for serving, Scotty. Allison, happy Friday, Happy Friday, Patriot, Freedom Fighter, Vic Heads, and Thunder Stealer. That's you.
Oh, me?
Miller time.
And that's you.
Wow. When did you get that?
Today.
That was awesome. GMFFVH. Play it again. I talked over it.
What?
Doofenshmirtz Civil Incorporated. I do have an evil plan, by the way, to try to get the president on the phone through our friend Nate Lucas. Be sure and take a moment while you enjoy our holiday. Remember those who gave all. Have a great weekend. Love the show. Thank you, guys. Oh, thank you so much. Appreciate that.
We really do.
Janice.
Thank you, Janice.
Memorial Day is a day to reflect on the cost of freedom, a day of reflection and remembrance, not a celebration. It is not a time. It is time to mourn those who made the ultimate sacrifice. Please remember that when you're making burgers, okay? David Sylvester says, Si se puede.
Say it with me. Si se puede.
There we did. Amy says, oh, no, that was you and you and Amy getting a room. Good Friday morning, everybody. It's Memorial Day weekend. Franklin County, rural area.
This is taking forever.
No tornado sirens.
No way.
Franklin rural has no tornado sirens. Leanne.
Sorry to hear that.
I agree with Vic. I'm sorry. Can I say that again?
What'd you say?
I say, Leanne says, I agree with Vic. You saying that to Leanne?
No, to you.
No, it sounded like you said it to her.
Leanne, I would never say that.
Yeah, you better not.
I would never say that.
Because she said I was right. We wanted Trump to win in 20. We're better off having him now. His VP, his cabinet, the fact that he had 4 years to get ready, I don't think he would have got right. He studied for 4 years on the deep state and how to get rid of him.
I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right about that.
Thank you, Susie, very much. Fridays are always your best shows because of the knowledge being laid down by Susie Moore. My God, Susie,
see, we're stupid every other day.
You don't have to pay people to say
I know.
That. Happy Friday, ladies, gents, and gentle cats. We know who that is. Ultra MAGA Joy Dishwashing Liquid. Great to have you. Thanks everybody.
Ultra MAGA Joy Dishwashing Liquid. I think you named her that like at the very beginning of the show.
Yeah, because she was Ultra MAGA.
Right.
Okay. Wheel of Audio Clips is next, then we'll call it a week. Kenny and I get a 3-day weekend. I hope you do too. 1019 94.1 News Talk STL. Welcome home.
Now the fussy stare from not being there. The confusing morning week. Impair my tribal speak.
Vic and Ken. Vic brings the thunder. Ken steals the thunder. Ken, Thunder Stealer. The Vic Porcelli Show on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
On the next
Larry Connors USA.
With Larry Connors USA, you're going to get news, analysis, opinion, and education.
Larry Connors USA. Now weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
You want the best place to watch baseball or any sport and be able to enjoy premium cigars and whiskeys? Lit Cigar Lounge. Lit has so many events each month. You need to constantly check the Lit Cigar Lounge Facebook. You don't want to miss anything. Plus, you can order food from Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta, delivered within minutes right to your table. By the way, we're in the season for great patio dining. Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta has your table waiting.
For 3 generations, one family has ruled the road in quality asphalt paving. Ruby's King of the Road Hot Mix Asphalt Paving. Family owned and operated. We're your leading authority for driveways, lanes, and parking areas. No project is too small or too large. We cater to both residential and commercial needs with unbeatable quality at just $38 per square yard plus labor. Call 636-295-9949. 636-295-9949. Ruby's King of the Road Hot Mix Asphalt Paving. You save when we pave.
Hi, Sean Long from STL Fenceworks. A new fence or deck is an investment in your home and your lifestyle. But how do you ensure that you're getting the most out of that investment? At STL Fenceworks, we know the key is satisfaction. Satisfaction means getting a fence or deck that not only meets your needs, but exceeds your expectations. Satisfaction means working with a team that cares about your project as much as you do. Satisfaction means having confidence in the quality of your new fence or deck, knowing that it was built with the best of materials and workmanship. STL Fenceworks, your satisfaction is our passion. And for me, satisfaction is knowing that providing for your family is how I provide for mine. Visit stlfenceworks.com and experience the satisfaction in making your backyard dreams into a reality.
Tony Colombo here for All Solutions Pest Control. The team Christine and I trust to protect our home. We've used multiple services at multiple homes over the years, and I can tell you from all that experience, All Solutions is second to none. If you have a pest problem of any kind, or more importantly, just want to prevent a problem, All Solutions is the team to call. Learn more and take advantage of their incredible $67 introductory offer right now at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019.
Hey, this is Jim Florentine, and you're listening to Vic and Ken on the Vic Porcelli Show on 94.1 and 101.9 News Talk STL.
Stevie Wonder from Songs in the Key of Life. A double album which won Album of the Year and kept Boz Scaggs from winning the Album of the Year Grammy.
Well, talk about a musical genius, man. This
Boz
guy,
Scaggs was. Talking about Boz Scaggs?
I'm talking about both.
I know.
Stevie Wonder.
I just steered that conversation.
You did. I know.
Okay. Are we ready?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, we are now.
Okay, let's go.
Wheel of Audio Clips!
It's America's favorite game show, The Wheel of Audio Clips. Here's the host of Wheel of Audio Clips, Vic Porcelli.
Thank you, Jim Marjorie. Studio audience, how you ladies doing? Hi. Ken, they love you. They love you, Ken. This is the Wheel of Audio Clips, kind of like a best of audio clips that we play all week. Ken takes the audio, puts it up on the big wheel. We spin the wheel, and wherever it lands is the audio that we listen to. And it's not always people we like, okay? Sometimes it's people we want to kick in the ass, you know, but it happens, all right? You ready to spin?
Yeah.
Let's go, spin the wheel. Oh, gosh.
What?
No, I just had a little something there.
Oh,
I swear I don't drink
You all right?
before the show. I swear to God I don't.
Oh.
Oh, for goodness sakes. Our favorite
man.
senator in the whole wide world, Senator John Kennedy, talking about the 2017 tax cuts.
If we do not extend the tax cuts, on December 31st of this year, there will be a $4.3 trillion increase on the American people. Hundreds of thousands of people will be thrown out of work. A lot of those will end up living in a refrigerator box behind Outback. We can avoid that by extending the tax cuts. And that's the main objective.
You know, when he mentioned that for the first time, and I heard it, it reminded me of, we had a treasure chest freezer that my mom and dad got when I was a kid. And that box was gigantic. So I took it up on the hill and I cut it out, put windows in it and everything.
It was a fort, right?
I stayed in. I actually spent the night in a couple nights.
Did you?
Yeah, it rained though.
Oh,
it was cardboard, you know.
Nothing better than a big box when you were a kid.
Oh my God.
Because really we're just cats, right? Because if you get a box, cats in there right away.
Absolutely.
All right, spin that wheel, Kenny
All right,
Williams.
Vic
Let's pick
Porcelli.
another one. Let's keep a good streak going here on people that we like. 3-day weekend. Woo-hoo. Oh no! Do we have to hear Chucky Schumer? Yeah, he doesn't like the big beautiful bill. It's big, it's beautiful. It's a big beautiful bill.
10 years from now, because clean energy is the future. It's cheaper and better. It's going to hurt our country, our families, our children in so many ways. This ideological obsession that the hard right, led by the oil, gas, and coal industry, have against clean energy is going to be very harmful. It's going to be one of the worst. There are many. One of the worst things that this administration is doing.
God,
He's the worst. He's wrong. You know what they forget, Ken? That when you buy an electric car, the charging station is run by coal.
Right.
Fossil fuel.
It's not run by solar or wind.
So be sure you get rid of all the fossil fuel, and then when you want to charge up your car, hey, this thing doesn't work.
Why isn't this working?
Give me some coal.
Well, because there's no electricity because it rained.
Yeah, and by the way, what about charging your car in the rain? At what point do you get electrocuted?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be kind of leery of that. I don't know.
Kidding. All right, spin the wheel. So Kenny and I have a 3-day weekend. My wife's got a 3-day weekend. That's unfortunate for her, but it's good for me. All right. So I think the left really needs to open a book or read a newspaper or watch a news report, because they underestimated Secretary of State Marco Rubio by a mile. Okay. I think Marco Rubio is the perfect pick for Secretary of State. He doesn't take anything from anybody. All right. So let's listen to him do a little mic drop moment with Senator Van Hollen in a committee hearing.
People are paying money. These kids pay money to go to school, and they have to walk
Writing
through a
an
bunch of
op-ed
lunatics
to the
who are
tough
here on student
newspapers
visas.
disrupting the
Simple
foreign
as
policy
that.
of the United
I want to
States.
do more. I hope we can
That's
find more of these
pathetic,
people.
Mr.
In fact,
Secretary.
the other day, some guys led a riot. I forgot what university it was, and I asked, please, can you find the arrest records of all the people that were arrested at that riot at that campus? Because if any of them have a visa, we're going to revoke.
I feel so much safer.
All right,
when you lock
let's,
up people like Ms. Ozturk, Mr. Secretary.
We've had enough time on the subject. Thank you very much.
So Senator Van Hollen, I can't believe, first of all, he didn't learn his lesson going to El Salvador and having margaritas with a wife-beaten, gang-banging MS-13 gang member.
Right.
But he thinks he's funny. He's funny with Secretary Rubio.
I think that this is one of the coolest clips that we've done this year, because we always talk about it, and I always talk about fighting back, not giving in this time, putting the foot to the floor and the gas pedal. Okay. And Marco Rubio, when he questioned him, he said, no, you know what I'm going to do? In fact, I'm going to go further. I asked him the other day, I said, hey, that university, let me have those visas to those kids. Let me find out and see if they're actually in line with what's going on. I mean, he's putting it to the floor, man, and he's not giving up on it.
Two things about him testifying in front of committees. Number one, he completely ignores the "I'm reclaiming my time."
Right.
So that taught me something, though. I thought maybe if I'm reclaiming my time, that you have to shut up, like by rules or laws, you have to shut up.
Oh,
but clearly you don't,
No.
because he doesn't. He just keeps going.
Well, if they're going to say whatever they want and lie as much as they want on the other side, why not? Why just ignore them?
And I also think he adheres to the notion that this is a hearing, and you're supposed to hear
me
what I say.
Right.
Right. And Van Hollen just thought he had him. I regret my vote for you as Secretary of State. And Rubio said, "Well, that means I'm doing a good job."
Right. That's exactly what he said.
Right. Like, why would you want a crazy, stupid liberal to defend you and defend his vote for you for Secretary of State? Why?
I'd be leery if they were doing that for me.
All right, Kenny, let's spin the wheel. See what else we kind of mayhem we can do here. Now, what are the odds of getting two Secretary of State Rubios in a row, Ken?
I don't know.
This one's on the Afrikaner refugees, and the left kills me. The only people in the world that can be oppressed or persecuted have to be people of color.
Yeah.
There's no way in the world
that
anybody who looks white can be persecuted or be oppressed.
No.
All right.
These are people that on the basis of their race are having their properties taken away from them and their lives being threatened and in some cases killed. These are people that applied and made these claims in their applications and seek to come to the United States in search of refuge. We've often been lectured by people all over the place about how the United States needs to continue to be a beacon for those who are oppressed abroad. Well, here's an example where we're doing that. So I don't understand why people are criticizing it. I think people should be celebrating it, and I think people should be supporting it.
That's exactly what I said, but just in different words.
Sure.
If you're oppressed, if you're persecuted, you need to be saved no matter what color you are.
Yeah.
Because then you're being the racist if you say that a white person can't ever be persecuted, right?
Well, let's go back to Cuba back in the 80s when they were being persecuted. We said, come on in. And I mean, hundreds of thousands did.
Mario boat lift.
In fact, Marco Rubio is probably a descendant of all that.
And those people like Marco Rubio's family and other Cubans who have come here and lived in the United States, they are not voting Democrat because they don't want our country to become their country.
And they've been outspoken about that too.
They sure have. I wish I could remember that guy's name that spoke at the RNC, the Republican National Convention. Not even this year. I think it was in 20. And he was an older guy, and he was talking about what life was like under Castro, and he was getting very emotional about it.
Yeah.
All right. You got anything else?
Nope.
Okay, spin the wheel. All righty. Friday. Oh, this is great.
Wow.
Yeah, this is really good. ABC's this week, right? Reince Priebus, who was President Trump's first chief of staff when he was elected in 2016, was on ABC's this week talking about treating Joe Biden like he was in a nursing home.
First of all, people were put to shame, me and others out there that talked about Joe Biden's mental acuity. We were told he was sharp as a tack, he had a photographic memory, he was intense and brilliant. And what's amazing is the sources of this book were the same sources that told us that we ought to be ashamed of ourselves. It's a stutter. Stop talking about him. The fact is they were managing his decline in a nursing home in the White House.
So
exponentially.
This is a great example of something we talk about, Ken, a lot. That the left, they don't know where to stop.
Yeah. Right.
He's sharp as a tack.
Yep.
We can't even keep up with him.
I saw him run down the hall the other day. I couldn't catch him.
It was the most secure election in history.
Yes.
Same
thing.
Thought process and messaging, because they can't tell the truth. All right, spin the wheel. You know who I'm waiting for, right? All right. Boy, Ken, what do I got to do? Finally, I had to slip you that $20 bill.
Yeah.
To get good thing we're not in a cashless society, huh? I wouldn't have been able to slip you that $20 bill to get President Trump talking about The big, beautiful bill. It's big, it's beautiful. It's a great, big, beautiful bill.
Looking to get the one great, big, beautiful bill. It will be the greatest tax cuts in history. If we don't get it, that means the Democrats will have stopped us, and that means people will get a 68% tax increase, the largest in history. And if we do get it, we're going to have the largest tax decrease in history. And all my life, I've watched politicians screaming, "We will cut your taxes." This is the only group where they say we're going to raise your taxes, and they think they're going to win. There's something wrong with them. I don't know what the hell is going on. We're going to raise your taxes, and people say that's strange. I've never heard it before.
Joe Biden said exactly that campaigning.
Yeah, he did.
In 2020. So I'm not going to lower your taxes. I'm going to raise your taxes, pal.
Yeah, man.
I'd be like, all right, well, I'm going to go over to the Trump rally across the street, which is a lot more fun than this little depressing thing. Then you do the Trump dance and good. All right. That's all the time we have for the Wheel of Audio clip, Kenny. This is Vic Porcelli saying, help control the liberal population. Have your liberals spayed or neutered. Goodbye, everybody. All right, that was fun, Ken. We had a good time.
Yeah, it was a good week, too.
3-day weekend. Please think about the people who give their life for our country, for our freedom.
Yeah.
I'm not saying don't have a good time this weekend. You want to barbecue, but just don't do me a favor and don't say the phrase Happy Memorial Day.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
That
Right.
gets on my nerves. But also, thank you for having the record player on at night to listen to us this morning.
Make sure you have the record player on at night.
And Kenny and I will see you on Tuesday, and we'll gladly pay you for a hamburger today on Tuesday. The Wimpy used to say.
Jamie Allman's up next.
3 martini lunch. See you Tuesday.
Whoosh.
Sooner or later I'll be clocking in again. Someday I'll be able to forget my working day. Life will be grim because the ship is coming in. Everything will go my way and I won't ever see it on the weekend. Here come the weekend. Here come the weekend. My working week's so tough, I think I've had enough until the weekend. Here come the weekend. Here come the weekend. Here come the weekend.
Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros, your all-in-one gutter service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep. We discovered Gutter Pros a few years ago when we bought our home and inherited a gutter issue that was on the road to becoming a potentially big problem, but thanks to Gutter Pros was stopped before causing any major damage. They've also repaired the siding on our home because along with gutter repair, gutter installation, and leaf protection, the Gutter Pros are also the best for siding repair and installation. Learn about all the ways Gutter Pros can help your home at gutterpros.com.
Hi, it's Chris Arps, and I've been a customer of Royal Banks of Missouri for many years. They are a full-service, locally owned and operated community bank with 17 locations throughout the St. Louis area, including locations in Hannibal, Jerseyville, Granite City, as well as 2 locations in St. Charles. Royal Banks offers Missouri a full range of financial services covering all of your personal and business banking needs, as well as access to over 200 ATM locations. Royal Banks of Missouri also offers convenient interactive teller machines that will connect you with a banker virtually and in real time, available at all their branch locations, and those are open weekdays from 8 to 7 p.m. and 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturdays. Plus, given today's headlines in the overall banking industry, it is reassuring to know Royal Banks of Missouri has the highest financial ratings in St. Louis for stability and strength. That's Royal Banks of Missouri, the community bank for your community. Visit them on the web at royalbanksofmo.com.
This is Mark Harder with